Uchiha Madara's journey through the worlds. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201. 100th World Area. 1 month after registration closed, the Qianwu Universe National Qualifiers began. Keep a close eye on the ever-changing rankings. Some super talents our organization can't recruit, but lesser talents are fine. Qianwu Universe has 100 qualifying zones, and anyone who makes the top 10,000 in each zone is a very talented individual for us. Pay attention to the rankings. They're our best opportunity to recruit elite talent. Every time the rankings change, we'll need to calculate them. Collect and store the data on each elite talent. In the future, a large number of domain lords and realm lords from our Qianwu universe will be among them. Preliminary gatherings begin today. The Divine Lord has high hopes for you all. Don't let him down. A group of realm lords addressed a large group of disciples at Black Dragon Mountain, the sacred site of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. You are the future elites and pillars of our Qianwu universe. I hope you will occupy at least half of those 101,000 spots. A deep earth-shaking voice echoed through the starry sky. Within this vast expanse, a giant, whose face could not be discerned, stood in the void. The space around him distorted faintly, and not far in front of him, a dense, endless swarm of young people stretched out before their eyes. All the young people knelt in reverence. Beside this giant, whose presence was too great to be seen, whose voice alone trembled the heart, powerful beings stood respectfully around him. Each immortal possessed a terrifying aura, and at a glance, at least 1,000 of them stood around. Go, children. The resounding voice shook the very air, and trembled the very souls of everyone. Yes, Lord. Hundreds of millions of stellar-level young people knelt in deep reverence. They had never imagined that this would be the moment to meet the legendary being who founded the Qianwu universe and possessed unimaginable powers, the Lord of the Qianwu universe. The ruler has held this position for eons. The space ahead shifted, and hundreds of millions of stellar-level youths vanished in an instant. This incredible power struck fear into the hearts of the thousands of immortals standing respectfully around them. In short, countless people were watching the Qianwu universe's talent selection competition. A large number of participants began gathering that day, transported to a continent dedicated to them within the virtual universe. Many of the contestants were confident in their abilities. The preliminaries are divided into 100 world zones. I'm zone 72, second and third. How about you? Haha, I'm zone 88. I like that number. How about you, third son? I'm zone 1. Zone 1. A good sign. The three brothers from Earth chatted, while Luo Feng took the opportunity to gaze into the distance. All he could see were figures in all sorts of clothing, some over 10 meters tall, some less than a meter. Suddenly, Luo Feng noticed a transcendent white figure, and his pupils shrank. Brother Ban, are you also participating in the talent selection competition? This genius selection tournament might just be his chance to see the big world. Everyone, please note, this preliminary elimination round will be divided into 100 world zones. Mass teleportation will soon begin, sending everyone to their assigned zones. Please hurry and check your weapons. Once the preliminary round begins, you will no longer be able to request weapons. A clear voice echoed across the continent, and Luo Feng quickly averted his gaze to check his equipment. Madara, however, remained calm as always, choosing no weapon. His white immortal robes fluttered in the wind, drawing the attention of many around him. Madara truly didn't need any weapons. He simply manifested with strange fire or yin-yang escape techniques. Mass teleportation is imminent. Teleport. The clear universal language echoed through the ears of over 800 billion people gathered on this continent. Then, in an instant, everyone on the continent vanished. At the same moment, over 8 billion people appeared in each of the 100 worlds created separately within the virtual universe. The battle of humanity's top geniuses, the preliminary elimination rounds for the major cosmic nations, had officially begun. As a grand event for all of humanity, everyone, from the almighty immortals to ordinary citizens with access to the virtual universe network, watched closely. Of course, For the powerful individuals of the Kyanwu universe, their primary focus was on the Kyanwu universe preliminaries, the 100th world zone. As he teleported, Madara felt a slight sway before his eyes, and the world blurred. After about 3 seconds, his vision cleared. He was standing in an ordinary living room, with his bedroom adjacent. Standing there, Madara looked down at the screen on his wrist arm guard, which automatically received numerous messages from the organizer, the Virtual Universe Company. The screen was densely packed with text. Participant, Uchiha Madara, Black Dragon Mountain Empire, points. 0 ranking, none world region. 100th world region time frame. Preliminary eliminations will last for 30 days. When the timer expires, the entire preliminaries conclude, and the winner will be determined by the final standings. Note, the 100th world region comprises 91 cities and numerous wildernesses and mountains across the continent, covering a land area of 13 million square kilometers. All objects within this world region have a hardness rating of B9. Points awarded, 1 point for each kill. If your points are high enough, even if you lose half your points after the death preliminaries are terminated, you can still place in the top 1001st. Please hurry. Uchiha Madara stood in the living room, reading the information and nodding slightly. With 8.2 billion people spread across over 10 million square kilometers, the population density is quite high. Boom. A loud noise suddenly erupted in the distance. Madara looked over and saw the glass on a floor of a distant skyscraper suddenly shatter. 2 figures shattered the glass and floated in mid-air, engaging in combat. Immediately, a roar echoed throughout the city. It seemed many people were eager to take action. Boom. The door of Madara's house was violently kicked open, the alloy door warping. A burly man entered, his body armored with force armor, helmet, and combat boots, clutching an axe in each hand. The man grinned at Madara. "You're the first." The burly man lunged forward, his combat boots stomping the floor, cracking the masonry in the living room. Then, the axe in his left hand arced, ripping the air apart, and slashed directly at Madara. Clearly, the man was confident. Madara remained calm, striking the man with a punch the instant he struck. The force of his punch spread throughout his body, instantly disintegrating the man's body into powder fractures, forcing him out of the game. PS. First update. Chapter 202 White Death. Throughout the entire process, Madara remained expressionless, as calm as if he'd just drunk some water. 3 years ago, he could have defeated 100,000 such weaklings. 3 years later. Haha. I wonder if anyone in this Kyanwu universe could withstand a single blow from him. Meanwhile, the text on the screen on Madara's wrist had changed. Combatant, Uchiha Madara, Black Dragon Mountain Empire, points. 1 rank. 696,034,836, nearly 70 million. It seems there are still quite a few quick shooters. Madara withdrew his hand, walked out of the house, and swept down the stairs, floor by floor. Along the way, Madara encountered a total of 30 opponents, all of whom attacked with overwhelming force, radiating brilliant light behind them. But all of them were crushed to pieces by a simple punch or kick. Downstairs, Madara was wearing the same clothes he had worn when he entered. But Madara himself shook his head. The opponents he had encountered were too flashy, their power levels too basic, and they were full of flaws. It wasn't Madara's opponent's fault. When one's physical strength reached a terrifying level, a simple punch or kick truly could speak louder than 1,000 words. Madara walked slowly toward the other residential buildings. He knew how ignorant he had been 3 years ago, and he also knew how vast the world truly was. His pride remained within him, but this small preliminary tournament felt like a child's play, completely uninspiring. So, he'd just kill anyone he saw. Kill any god who stood in his way. Above that, an invisible barrier blocked all access. Spaceships flew slowly across the barrier, overlooking the battle below. Because the number of participants in this preliminary tournament was so large, countless people from across the Kyanwu universe watched from above these 100 world zones. Inside a splendid spaceship, a group of young men and women, enjoying drinks and delicious food, watched the battle virtually. Haha, the number 1 ranking is from a star region directly under our universe kingdom. A burly 3-meter tall man in a ornate robe laughed heartily, holding a wine glass. TSK, old LUO, your Pengayu empire is doing quite well too. One of your empire's members is in the top 100. Thank you, your highness, for the compliment. A man with a braid and a unique jade stone inlaid on his forehead said with a smile. The Pengayu Empire has always been one of the vassal states of Arkayanwu Universe Kingdom that has produced the most powerful warriors. By the way, old LUO, I heard that your empire is planning to designate you as the first heir to the throne. The young man smiled and said, that's all just rumors. It hasn't been decided yet. Besides, no matter what, we can't compare to your highness. Your highness is the legitimate son of Ding Xianhao and will inherit his title. Ding Xianhao's territory is still several times larger than our entire empire. The 3-meter tall, burly man smiled upon hearing this. The Qianwu Universe Kingdom is vast. The highest position is undoubtedly held by the ruler. Below the ruler are powerful individuals granted the title of Marquis. Those who can achieve the title of Marquis in the Qianwu Universe Kingdom are mostly immortals, and their territories are much larger than those of most medium civilized nations. Brolin, why don't I see anyone from your Black Dragon Mountain Empire? The burly man looked at Brolin, the Black Dragon Mountain Prince. Last time, it seems no one from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire made it into the top 10,000. Yes, the Black Dragon Mountain Empire has performed poorly in recent rounds. Hearing this, Brolin felt immediately embarrassed. In the universe, this sense of regional honor is still very strong. If a superpower emerged from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, the entire empire would feel proud. Meanwhile, Madara slowly walked out of the residential complex. He had already slaughtered nearly 1,000 people in the dozens of skyscrapers in the entire community. Participant, Uchiha Madara. Points. 982. Ranking. 100,800. Although no one in this community lasted a single round against Madara, he ultimately didn't employ any ranged attacks, instead relying on pure, raw physical strength to defeat all his opponents. Therefore, his current ranking wasn't particularly high, but even so, among the 8.2 billion people in this world, he was already in the top 100,000. As Madara left the community, 6 figures rushed out. Friend, you seem quite capable, daring to come out so openly, a dark, lean young man sneered. Madara's gaze calmly scanned the 6 figures before him, unfazed. Attack. A young man in a black force armor shouted. At the same time, Madara could sense an invisible psychic attack coming his way. 2 sword-wielding young men surrounded Uchiha Madara from either side. As 2 beams of light shot out, the woman who had launched the psychic attack suddenly screamed, her soul dissipating and dying. Madara's mental power was immense. Anyone who dared to use a mental attack against him would suffer this fate. Then, with a swift turn, Madara seized the 2 attackers with his left and right hands, pinning them to the ground. Powder fractures appeared, and Madara eliminated 2 more. Finally, with a powerful kick, Madara struck with such speed that a shadow appeared, and in the blink of an eye, he struck 3 times with a single knife, eliminating the final 3. The entire process took less than 3 seconds, flowing like water, and imbued with artistic grace. Madara glanced down, and saw that his ranking had risen to over 20,000. These 6 individuals all had considerable points. It was the second day of the preliminaries, also in the 100th world zone. A howling wind blew, and the air was filled with the scent of blood. On either side of an each street lay countless bodies, slain by a single blow. A white-robed sage stalked through. Madara glanced at his own points. Name, Uchiha Madara points. 78,900 ranking. 879 after a day. Even though Madara was just killing slowly, his points reached nearly 80,000, which means that nearly 80,000 people were killed directly or indirectly by Madara. At this time, Madara's ranking has steadily risen to 879th, and he has met the conditions for promotion. All the people on the surrounding streets have been killed by Madara. Madara walked on this street unscrupulously. Anyone who appeared in front of Madara, even if they were recognized as a genius from somewhere, could not withstand a single move from Madara. Madara also earned a title for this, the White Death. The name of the White Death quickly spread throughout the city. Many people knew that this White Death was incredibly strong. He had already become one of the several legendary names in this city. P.S. Chapter 2. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203, Legend of the 100th World Zone. Madara stood on the blood-soaked street, gazing at a shopping mall ahead. His telekinesis swept over, clearly spotting three figures inside. Normally, if there were no hiding places, a telekinetic sweep would alert the target and they would typically come out. However, these three remained silent. Madara rubbed his palms across his chest and spoke coldly. "You're not coming out. White Death. We don't want to mess with you. Don't push your luck. You're ranked in the top 1001 in the 100th world region. Even if you made the preliminaries, it should be easy for you to reach the top 1001. Don't push your luck." An angry voice rang out in the universal language of the universe. "If you don't come out, then I'll go in," Madara said softly, fiddling with a truth-seeking jade in his hand. Boom. 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 Suddenly, three figures burst out of the mall's windows, hovering in mid-air. One was tall, with ochre-colored skin, while the other two were of normal build. They stared at Uchiha Madara before them, startled and terrified. "White Death, we are sent by the Kyanwu Universe's royal family. Don't you want us?" the tall, burly man said in a low voice. The next moment, Madara shot out like a cannonball, launching into action. The three men's expressions paled, and they immediately turned and fled, cursing inwardly. "How dare they even disrespect us, the Kyanwu Universe's royal family." Although the Kyanwu Universe had over 800 billion participants, these were primarily from vassal states, interstellar organizations, and individuals who volunteered. As for the Kyanwu Universe's royal family, they had only sent a little over 100 million. But according to the king, these 100 million would account for more than half of the 100,000 slots. With a single punch, the tall, burly man was slain in a single blow. Two more swift blows ruthlessly dispatched the two black-clad girls. The Kyanwu Universe's royal family? Haha, Madara repeated to himself, then continued forward with a sneer on his face. Inside the magnificent spaceship, a group of princesses and princes from various interstellar regions of the Kyanwu Universe were chatting and laughing. "Look, Brolin. One of your Black Dragon Mountain empires has already made it into the top 1001. A prince shouted. Brolin's eyes lit up, and he looked quickly. On the large screen next to him, the names of various empires were listed. The Black Dragon Mountain Empire's qualifying spot had, temporarily, gone from 0 to 1. "Let me see," Brolin exclaimed. A small screen appeared next to the giant one, followed by a line of data. 100th World Region, 675th place, Uchiha Madara, Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Haha, this Uchiha Madara is the genius carefully nurtured by my Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Brolin, your Black Dragon Mountain Empire isn't bad. Finally, we are not at the bottom of the list. Of the nearly 1,000 medium-sized nations in the universe, over 200 still had 0 qualifying spots. At the same moment, numerous divine kingdoms and countless organizations quickly recorded Uchiha Madara's name, but the real excitement came from the citizens and high-ranking officials of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Someone from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire has made it into the top 1001. Hurry and find out who this Uchiha Madara is. Uchiha Madara. I've never heard of that name. Hurry and find out. What's his background? Thousands of people sat in the luxurious and vast hall of a spaceship. These people were the true ruling class of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. The battle of humanity's top geniuses was a grand event for the entire universe. It was open to all nations, and with such a grand event weighing on the honor of each empire, the Emperor of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire naturally took great interest. "Congratulations, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, great joy." The entire vast hall suddenly erupted in excitement, and the dignitaries of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire cheered. Those who could attend such an event were either the powerful and influential members of the empire itself, realm masters, or emperors of the primary civilizations of the universe under the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Haha. The emperor, clad in a dark yellow robe, let out a hearty laugh, a rich, resonant sound that echoed throughout the hall. At the front of the hall, a massive screen displayed the number of Black Dragon Mountain Empire members who had passed the preliminary round, temporarily. 1. Uchiha Madara's name was also displayed behind it. Uchiha Madara, very good. The Black Dragon Mountain Emperor laughed heartily. At least our Black Dragon Mountain Empire didn't come in last this time. Uchiha Madara has made a great contribution. He must be rewarded. Yes, we must reward him. Your Majesty is wise. A group of dignitaries flattered the Emperor, their voices echoing enthusiastically like a tide. Your Majesty, it's still early before the preliminary round ends. We won't know the final results until they are over. A bald, elegant old man beside the Emperor whispered softly. To dare to say such a disheartening thing when the Emperor was so pleased. This old man must be of extremely high status. One of the realm masters attending the banquet. Yes. The Emperor nodded slightly. But even if Uchiha Madara fails, he still has great merit. Unbeknownst to Ban, he had become the center of attention in the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, a source of excitement and pride for countless citizens. At this moment, it could be said that the entire Black Dragon Mountain Empire, millions of people, were waiting and watching for Uchiha Madara. However, even if Madara knew, he wouldn't have cared much. Top 1001. That was just the beginning. In the 100th World District, Madara continued to stroll slowly through the streets. It was the 4th day of the preliminaries, and he had already cleared the entire XC district of the city. It could be said that, except for those who escaped, everyone in the XC district had perished at his hands. Madara's ranking had already reached the top 100. The 100th World District consisted of nearly 100 cities, and to achieve a top 100 ranking meant one was essentially the best in that city. Madara remained calm, strolling through the city at a leisurely pace. From the beginning until now, Madara hadn't used any ranged attacks, relying solely on his punches and kicks to crush his enemies one by one. Whether the enemy was a recognized formidable individual in the city or a coordinated attack by many, they were doomed to fail before him. Throughout the city, countless people have learned that an invincible White Death has appeared in the XC district, slaying all who stand in its way. A top 1001 player in this region once faced off against White, only to find that the top 1001 genius couldn't even withstand a single blow. Within the XC district, silence reigned, save for the steady tread of Madara's footsteps. Madara was now heading towards another district. P.S. First update. Chapter 204, Legends of the 100th World Region, Part 2. Day and night, constantly intertwined. The cold wind whistled over the body. Uchiha Madara strolled in the DC area. Coming to the new environment, he became a little more interested. Madara continued to walk silently, but suddenly he stopped, a slight smile on his lips. He could sense the voice in the distance. Anyone who dared to make such a big fuss on the street must be no ordinary master. Madara's telekinesis spread in that direction. On the distant street, a battle was taking place, or to be more precise, a massacre. Boom. A psychic didn't dodge in time, and was hit on the head by a huge mace. His head exploded instantly, and he died on the spot. Ha ha ha. The loud laughter made people's heart palpitate. The man holding the mace was a 5-meter tall man with strong legs and 6 thick and powerful arms. Everyone in the XC area knew that this was the recognized number 1 master in the XC area, Mozin. At that moment, the man was still chasing an opponent, but when Madara slowly emerged from the street, Moshin immediately gave up the chase and stared intently at Uchiha Madara. White Death. Moshin said, his voice cold and stern. He had certainly heard of the White Death's reputation. Although the White Death was unstoppable in the DC district, his killing speed was extremely slow, causing many to flee to the XC district out of fear of the White Death. He had long wanted to meet this so-called White Death. The top 5 superpowers in the city, the number 1 in the DC district and the number 1 in the XC district, met on this dimly lit street. Typically, the top superpowers first accumulate as many points as possible, and only when they have enough points will they engage in a life and death battle with masters of the same level. Action now? Moshin said, staring at Uchiha Madara. It was only a few days before the preliminary rounds. Although he was the top player in the XC zone, he didn't believe he had accumulated enough points. If possible, Mashin wanted to wait a few more days until he had enough points before fighting the White Death. Madara didn't reply, but instead made his stance clear with his actions, charging forward. Bang! Mashin's massive thigh slammed into the ground, causing the street to crack. Sensing that Uchiha Madara was ready for a head-on confrontation, Mashin wielded his massive maces in all 6 of his arms, smashing down fiercely at Madara. Simultaneously, a thick black aura enveloped Mashin, momentarily enveloping him within a 100-meter radius. Even a top 1001 expert would undoubtedly face significant resistance within this realm. Madara nodded slightly. This was the first opponent he had encountered possessing a domain, and he judged it to be at the 8th level. But Madara exerted a slight force, then unleashed a seemingly calm punch, piercing Mashin's head. His tall body slowly fell, his mace slamming into the street with a resounding thud. For others, this level might be impressive, but for Madara, it was still too naive. Domain? Haha, he hadn't played with that in ages. For the past 3 years, he'd been playing with principles that transcended domains. The screen on Madara's arm shifted again. Participant, Uchiha Madara, Black Dragon Mountain Empire, points. 3,456,000 rank. 47th. Madara nodded slightly. It seemed Mashin had worked very hard in the previous hunt, earning him a considerable amount of points. This 8th level domain was certainly useful. Then, Madara's voice rang out, gazing towards the rooftop of a residential building. Since you're here, why don't you stay? Atop the rooftop stood a figure in golden battle robes. Upon hearing Madara's voice, their demeanor shifted, and after a moment's hesitation, they finally leaped down. I didn't expect you, White Death, to be so powerful. Even Demon Heart couldn't withstand a single blow from you. I originally thought I was undoubtedly the strongest in this city, but now it seems I may have overestimated my abilities. The golden figure was called Yunlan. He didn't hang around any particular district, he preferred to roam the city, targeting true masters. Everything Yunlan did was successful. Oh, then you still dare to come down? Madara said casually. I've earned enough points. Even if you kill me, I'm confident I'll still be in the top 1001. The path of cultivation is to forge ahead. If I retreat here today, I will never forgive myself. Yunlan said solemnly. Numerous golden wheels appeared around him, seemingly telekinetic weapons. Now, they all charged towards Uchiha Madara. A closer look revealed that these golden wheels contained traces of the fundamental law of gold. You know, laws are the advancement of domains. Those who can comprehend the fundamental laws are basically considered supremely powerful. Interesting. I'll grant you that. Uchiha Madara smiled faintly. Countless golden threads connected from the sky, forming a massive golden lightsaber that rushed towards Uchiha Madara. This is my strongest attack. White Death. Show me your respect. Let me see your true strength. Yunlan roared, his attack unstoppable. I'll satisfy you. Madara bent slightly, exerting his full strength, and launched a punch like a beam of white light, hurtling directly towards Yunlan's massive golden lightsaber. Under Madara's punch, Yunlan's strongest attack was mercilessly shattered in that moment, and Yunlan's figure was reduced to ashes by the blow. This kind of physical force. Yunlan smiled bitterly, disappearing into the wind. After striking Yunlan, a beam of white light erupted from Madara's fist, shattering an entire B9 class skyscraper nearby. It then soared to a height of 9,000 meters, barely stopping just as it touched the sky of this virtual world. Instantly, everyone from the other cities in the 100th world zone to the countless spectators above was filled with shock at Uchiha Madara's attack. How could someone, under this kind of gravity, launch such an attack with the fundamental power of a 9th order stellar star? In over 90 other cities, the supremely powerful individuals who had grasped the fundamental principles of the origin law exclaimed in disbelief. Meanwhile, throughout the Kyanwu universe, countless high-ranking figures were also amazed by Madara's attack, each one noticing Uchiha Madara's presence in shock. PS. Second update. Chapter 205, Legends of the 100th World Region, Part 3. The kills of Mashin and Yunlan caused Uchiha Madara's ranking to jump to 9th place, which immediately attracted the attention of various forces in the Kyanwu universe. Before, when Uchiha Madara entered the top 1001 of the 100th World Region, He was mainly watched by hundreds of millions of citizens of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. However, reaching the top 10, the meaning is completely different. The higher the ranking, the harder it is to climb, and the more exaggerated the strength. The top 10 in each world region can be said to be true super geniuses who have entered the door of the origin law. Madara was able to enter the top 10 of the 100th world region because he became the overlord of his city and killed the other 2 overlords. Aside from a few people who were particularly quick and had already left their city to hunt super strong people in other cities, Madara was the absolute number 1. Collect information on Uchiha Madara. For Uchiha Madara to be ranked 9th, he's definitely a super genius who's reached the 9th level of his domain and even comprehended the laws of origin. I never thought a genius could reach the top 10 from a remote place like the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. You know, the Black Dragon Mountain Empire has always ranked in the lower middle tier among the vassal states of our Kyanwu universe. Like a cat-smelling fish, the various factions of the Kyanwu universe immediately sprang into action. At that moment, in the luxurious lobby of the spaceship where the ruling class of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire had gathered. Congratulations, Your Majesty. This is great. 9th place. It's been so long since our Black Dragon Mountain Empire has produced such a super genius. The thousands of people in the lobby erupted in excitement. Ranking in the triple digits, double digits, and single digits conveyed completely different levels of prestige. The top 1000 might be considered a super genius for a particular star region, but the top 10 were undoubtedly considered super geniuses throughout the entire Kyanwu universe. A single digit ranking. Your Majesty, right now, the entire Black Dragon Mountain Island, hundreds of millions of citizens, are incredibly excited. The Black Dragon Mountain Emperor, seated high atop the island, couldn't conceal his delight. He laughed heartily and declared, "Our empire performed very well in this preliminaries. It looks like Uchiha Madara could break the Black Dragon Mountain Empire's record for geniuses in this tournament since its founding. Great achievement. He must be generously rewarded." Besides the attention of certain factions within the Black Dragon Mountain Empire and the Kyanwu universe, more importantly, an immortal level powerhouse was aboard a spaceship over World Zone 100, witnessing Uchiha Madara's earth-shattering attack. How is it possible? With the strength of a 9th level star, could such a powerful attack be unleashed in this vast virtual world? What kind of physical and telekinetic amplification would be required to achieve this effect? Immortal level power, even Marquis level power. Upon realizing this, the immortal level powerhouse shook his head sharply. Such an incredible thing, how could it be possible? Immediately, the immortal level powerhouse's eyes widened, his full attention focused on Uchiha Madara. This sight stunned the immortal level powerhouse. In the 100th world zone, after slaying Mashin and Yunlan, Madara felt a slight sense of fatigue. This weariness wasn't physical weakness, but rather a mental letdown. He was too weak. Both Mashin and Yunlan were too much for him. So what if he had reached the 8th level of his domain? So what if he had even entered the introductory stage of the origin law? Already in his first month in the killing field, he had broken through the threshold from the 1st to the 9th level of his domain, entering the introductory stage of the origin law. To him, these so-called geniuses were nothing more than infants who hadn't even learned to walk. With this thought, Madara's white sage robes fluttered in the wind behind him. He closed his eyes, and his figure slowly floated into the sky, rising higher and higher. The entire city could see Madara's ascent, wondering what he was about to do. What's he doing? Instead of hunting down other masters, he's just soaring into the sky. I don't know. Maybe he has some special fetish. Many people in the city began to discuss this. Madara, now 100 meters in the air, looked down at the city below, slowly opening his hands. A vast energy, enough to annihilate the world, accumulated within his body. Tired, destruction. Madara's eyes snapped open, and a massive storm of repulsive force emanated from his center, enveloping the entire city in an instant. 6 paths. Shinra Tensei. Even though the city was composed entirely of B9 grade metal, countless buildings shattered and collapsed without resistance before Madara's blow. Skyscrapers were reduced to dust, and with them, the lives of the city itself were scattered by the wind. Damn. He's a psycho. He wants to destroy this city and everyone in it. This thought crossed many people's minds, but they realized it too late. The Six Paths Shinra Tensei swept over them, killing them instantly, before they could react. Some, however, had been staying put, figuring it was only a few days before the preliminary rounds, and that they might as well wait a while before venturing out. Tragically, before they even had a chance to strike, Madara treated them as mere pawns, and swept them away. In reality, under Madara's Six Paths Shinra Tensei, even a conventionally talented person, a 9th level domain master, or even someone who had just reached the beginning of the origin law was little more than a mere pawn. Thus, a vast city was reduced to an absolute dead city. Uchiha Madara withdrew his hands, looking down with a cold, indifferent gaze at the city below, which had been reduced to a vast expanse of empty space. This kind of area-based attack was indeed much faster than it had been initially. Madara glanced at his own points. He was already first in the 100th world zone. However, it seemed unfair to leave only this city to suffer such a disaster. Multiple shadow clone technique. 99 Six Paths Madaras appeared simultaneously in the sky, their white sage robes fluttering in the wind as they flew towards the other cities in this world zone. Come, let the world feel pain. Madara's Six Paths Shinra Tensei, which had directly caused a large number of powerful players to lose points, quickly attracted the attention of the entire Kyanwu universe. At the same time, Madara overwhelmingly became the number 1 in the 100th world zone, which meant that Madara's strength was likely to be the strongest competitor in the entire Kyanwu universe. In an instant, the clouds moved in all directions. PS. Chapter 1. Chapter 206. The Legend of the 100th World Region. Part 4. To directly annihilate an entire city and all its participants would require at least 9th level cosmic strength. Forget about a genius barely scratching the surface of the origin laws. Even one who's achieved mastery of them wouldn't be able to pull it off. Remember, this participating city is constructed entirely of B9 grade metal. Such a feat is truly terrifying. With this kind of power, the Kyanwu universe hasn't seen a genius of this caliber in years. Such a genius is probably even worthy of being ranked among the most elite in the universe. While the Kyanwu universe may be a mere starting point, its leaders are all immortals. Every powerful immortal in the universe possesses exceptional foresight. They could instantly discern that Uchiha Madara's strength was among the very best in the entire universe. A young talent like this must be closely watched. He hasn't yet demonstrated the extent of his comprehension of the laws, but it's clear that his physical strength and telekinesis have reached a terrifying level. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to pull off such an action. Keep watching, and we'll get the answer. Many immortals began to discuss. Meanwhile, in a secret location within the Kyanwu universe, even the Kyanwu universe's ruler had become interested in Madara. He discovered that even with his perspective as a universe lord, the supreme universe, he couldn't fully grasp the power Uchiha Madara was currently wielding. It appeared to be a combination of physical energy and willpower, but he still needed to observe further to determine its specifics. Regardless, he could confirm one thing: Uchiha Madara wasn't a genius whose brilliance only shone within the Kyanwu universe. Even if Uchiha Madara were placed among thousands of other universes, he would undoubtedly be the most dazzling presence. In reality, Madara's power was still chakra, and his physical strength and telekinesis were both around 200. However, because chakra's fundamental components are physical and mental energy, the combination of 200 physical energy and 200 mental energy amplified by telekinesis produces an even more powerful transformation, hence Madara's current power. Returning to the 100th world zone, 99 figures, including the original body and its shadow clones, spread outward from the city where Madara first resided. With each city reached, Madara mercilessly unleashed the 6 paths of Shinra Tensei from the sky, annihilating the entire city. Then, everyone in that city was plunged into endless confusion, stunned by a blazing white light. 1 city, 3 cities, 10 cities, 30 cities. More and more cities followed. In City 1, Kurojo, a master who had also mastered the origin law, stood atop the city's tallest skyscraper, looking quite like a lone warrior seeking to defeat the enemy. Kurojo had been the top master in City 2, but after challenging every powerful individual in City 2, and finding none worthy enough, he journeyed to City 1. Over the course of several days, Cheng, armed with a spear and mastering the law of thunder, successfully defeated countless experts from City 1, earning him the undisputed title of City 1's top expert. Cheng's points also ranked second in the 100th world region. I've slain every expert from both cities, yet I'm still only second in the 100th world region. So what did the first place winner have to do to be ranked higher than me? I'm really looking forward to fighting the first place winner, Cheng said, eagerly. He believed the first place winner, like him, was a beginner in the origin lore, and beginners in the origin lore were generally similar. He didn't believe there was a huge gap between him and the first place winner. The first place winner simply had more kills. In a one-on-one fight, he wouldn't necessarily be inferior. Cheng pondered this, standing atop a skyscraper and gazing into the distance. Regardless, even if he, the second place winner, didn't participate now, he should be able to secure a spot in the next stage. Or rather, it was simply a matter of course for him. Cheng's only wish now was a man-to-man battle with this unknown number one. Gazing out from a skyscraper, Cheng suddenly noticed a white figure charging towards the city from the distant sky. A smile immediately crossed his lips. If Cheng was right, this figure must have conquered countless opponents in other cities and was now hunting in City 1. Unfortunately, if this person encountered him, he would lose half his points, losing everything. However, to Cheng's slight surprise, the white figure stopped outside the city and for no apparent reason opened its arms. Just as Cheng was filled with questions, a massive force surged forth from the white figure, destroying every building in its path as it barreled towards Cheng. What? Cheng's eyes narrowed as he produced a black spear. He swung it vigorously, a powerful ferocious movement. Waves of lightning emanated, transforming into a sky filled with black stars, forming a protective barrier in front of him. However, as the shockwave struck, Cheng, his face grim, tried to resist, but found his strength was far too weak. Law of Thunder. Cheng roared, and countless lightning bolts appeared at the tip of his black spear, enhancing it with blue lightning. Cheng's aura multiplied manyfold. However, even with the use of the Law of Thunder, Cheng felt like a small boat on the ocean, suddenly overturned. His vision went black as Cheng was mercilessly eliminated from the 100th world zone. Returning to the virtual universe, Cheng was completely bewildered. Who was he? Where was he? What had happened? He had cheated, directly destroying a B9 level city? How could a 9th level star level cultivator possess such power? Thinking about this, Kuroshio had his virtual assistant pull up the leaderboard for the 100th world zone. Before this, he'd had 80 million points. After being killed, his points should have dropped to 40 million, a drop of half. He wondered how far his ranking would drop. Upon opening the leaderboard, Kuroshio saw he was still in second place, and he felt somewhat relieved. But he also wondered why, even after being eliminated, he still ranked second. Was he really that strong? That was until Kuroshio saw the points of the first place, Uchiha Madara. Over 5 billion points. PS. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 207. Legend of the 100th World Zone. End. Cheng felt like he'd misread it terribly. Thinking of this, Cheng clicked on the rankings of other world zones and examined the points of the top players. They were roughly the same as before his elimination, which was around 80 million points. The points of the top players in these other world zones also ranged from 60 million to just over 100 million. Cheng clicked back and glanced at Uchiha Madara's points. It was still over 5 billion. The probability of the virtual universe company making a mistake was practically impossible, but he double-checked twice and saw that Uchiha Madara's points were still over 5 billion, which meant, oh my god, this guy really had over 5 billion points. How could this even begin to make sense? Each world zone has an area of over 10 million square kilometers and a population of over 8 billion, and Uchiha Madara alone had over 5 billion points. What on earth had this Uchiha Madara done? Had he massacred all 90 plus cities in the 100th world zone? Instantly, Cheng felt his worldview crumble. Could such a thing really happen? In the history of the Universe Genius Tournament, it seemed there had never been such a perverted contestant. Kuroshio sighed. He could understand why, even though he was dead, he still ranked second in the 100th world region. It was because before his death, Uchiha Madara had already killed everyone else in the 100th world region. It was hard to tell whether to call this a happy story or a sad one. Regardless, Kurashiro was certain of one thing: he was very likely to witness the birth of a legend. The pressure was immense. Kurashiro was a microcosm of the plight of the entire 100th world region. Of course, a genius like Kurashiro, still ranked second, was considered lucky. Some geniuses were utterly depressed. Garo, also a super genius in the 100th world region who had grasped the introductory principles of the origin, had a different personality from Kurashiro. He disliked trouble. Therefore, Garo planned to wait until the first half of a month had passed before launching a killing spree. If he started out with a vengeance, his opponents would be too weak to inspire him. So, aside from the few hundred points he earned initially to clear a safe haven, Garo lived comfortably in his safe house. Anyone who stumbled in would be mercilessly slaughtered. As a supremely powerful being at the beginning of the origin lore, based on past universe genius tournaments, he could conservatively be considered in the top 5 of the 100th world region. Therefore, Garo wasn't particularly worried. He mastered the law of wind, one of the fastest moving principles. Even if a powerhouse of his level came, could he not defeat them, or outrun them? Could he be instantly killed in a single blow? What a joke. Then, in his safe house, Garo was mercilessly devoured by a beam of white light, dying a peaceful death. Damn. What the hell? After being eliminated from the 100th world region, Garo's nerves were instantly broken. He immediately checked the 100th world region rankings. Seeing that Uchiha Madara, at the top, had over 5 billion points, 100 times the second place finisher, his face shone with despair. This was truly unfortunate, running into such a pervert. Seeing that Uchiha Madara's points far surpassed the second place finisher, Garo knew he'd truly hit a wall. Damn, this universe genius tournament was a tad bitch. Each tournament was held a full 10,000 years apart, and he'd mastered the fundamental principles of the origin. Forget 10,000 years, if he wanted to, he could break through to the universe level in less than a year. There was no way Garo was going to sacrifice 10,000 years for a universe genius tournament. So, he had to accept his fate. Garo felt like crying after realizing this reality. He'd originally wanted to explore the virtual universe company, but now it seemed he'd have no choice but to go find his immortal level father. It was so frustrating. All those eliminated from the 100th world zone now looked towards the otherworldly figure in the 100th world zone, a figure as otherworldly as a white exiled immortal. It's not that they're weak, it's that Madara is simply too strong. The DC region's top expert, Mashin, who was defeated by Madara, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He'd originally thought he'd been eliminated early, denying him a chance to break into the top 1001 of the entire 100th world region. But after defeating him and Kinrin, Uchiha Madara revealed his true colors as a great demon king, subduing the entire population of over 90 other cities. So, ultimately, he still managed to find himself in the top 1001 of the 100th world region, a somewhat unexpected outcome. How long has it been since we've seen a genius of this caliber in the Kyanwu universe's previous genius contests? The Iron Army Lord, over 300 years ago, his performance in that contest might have rivaled this one. No, even I, at the stellar level, was far behind him. Even now, with his physical strength and increased telekinesis, he could probably catch up to mine. The immortal master, Iron Army Lord, said with some emotion. Every generation has its own talented individuals, each leading the charge for centuries. The era of the newcomers has finally arrived. The Uchiha Madara is definitely number 1 in our universe country, and he's definitely in the top 10 overall in the universe. This kind of talent is sure to reach the very core of the virtual universe company. Not just 10th, I think he's even a possibility of number 1, many people commented. Just then, an incredibly powerful aura suddenly appeared. Upon sensing it, everyone's expressions instantly changed, and they all began to salute. The person arriving was the ruler of the Kyanwu universe country, King. Everyone shouted respectfully. Ranking number 1 in the universe is indeed somewhat difficult. This year's Universe Genius Tournament features a supreme genius whose understanding of the laws of space surpasses that of most realm masters, and there's also a formidable illusionist. Uchiha Madara's understanding of the laws and his increased telekinesis haven't yet been fully demonstrated. Relying solely on physical strength, he can't defeat such a genius, the Kyanwu Universe ruler commented. From the moment he first noticed Uchiha Madara, he had confirmed that he was a supreme genius who still ranked among the top in the universe. For a moment, even the Kyanwu Universe ruler was struck by his admiration for his talent. At the same time, the Lord of the Kyanwu Universe was also very interested in Uchiha Madara's lineage. With such achievements, his master could not be an unknown figure. It was very likely a great and powerful being no less than him. PS. First update. Chapter 208, Lord of the Kyanwu Universe. Intelligence Agency, haven't you found any information on Uchiha Madara yet? The Lord of the Kyanwu Universe asked. An immortal hurried to the Lord's presence and said, Lord, we have indeed found some information on him, but it's too limited. We feel we must have missed something, which is why we haven't reported it to you yet. Give me what information you've gathered, the Lord of the Kyanwu Universe shouted angrily. The intelligence department he founded, Kyanwu Universe, had enormous authority. Logically, the search for even a small star-level piece of information on Uchiha Madara should have been completed long ago, but it had taken so long. It was a little hard for the Lord to accept. Yes, the immortal in charge of intelligence presented all the information on Uchiha Madara to the Lord of the Kyanwu Universe. As the Lord of the Kyanwu Universe reviewed the information about Uchiha Madara, his astonishment grew, his brow furrowing slightly. Are all these things true? If so, it's unbelievable. Uchiha Madara, whose nationality was the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, had transferred to the Black Dragon Mountain Empire as a stateless person. After becoming a citizen of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, Uchiha Madara purchased a virtual helmet on a planet within the empire. Since then, no one has seen Uchiha Madara in real life. According to those in the killing hall of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire's killing grounds, Uchiha Madara has been spending countless hours in the virtual universe's killing fields. Beyond that, no one knows any other information about Uchiha Madara. I will personally teach him. He will definitely become a significant force for our Kyanwu Universe in the future, the Lord of the Kyanwu Universe declared. Immediately, the immortals were stunned. The Lord of the Kyanwu Universe was a cosmic supreme. To receive personal instruction from a cosmic supreme was an incredible privilege. After the Kyanwu Universe qualifying tournament concluded, Uchiha Madara remained in the killing fields of the virtual universe. For Madara, the qualifiers were merely child's play. Having arrived in a world, he must be among its most dazzling figures. He refused to allow himself to remain ordinary. Suddenly, a figure in white appeared in the killing field. Madara looked over, a look of wonder in his eyes. The figure's mere presence gave him a sense of immensity. How about a fight? Madara asked. With most people, Madara would never have made such a request, but his intuition was sharp, and he knew the man before him was definitely worthy of his challenge. A fight? The white figure was surprised, then smiled and agreed. Okay. This figure in white was naturally the Lord of the Kyanwu Universe, a cosmic supreme being. This time, the Lord of the Kyanwu Universe had personally approached Uchiha Madara, hoping to test his true power. The battle of cosmic geniuses clearly didn't allow Uchiha Madara to unleash his true strength. Since they were here, a fight between the two would be a good idea. After agreeing, the two entered the killing field's decisive battle space. Before entering, the Lord of the Kyanwu Universe used his supreme authority to keep the battle a secret. No matter how talented Uchiha Madara truly was, even the most talented of humanity would be targeted by outsiders. Therefore, naturally, the fewer people who knew of Uchiha Madara's true strength, the better. Within the decisive battle space, a cloud of yellow sand drifted. You are very strong. Stronger than anyone I've ever met. Madara wasn't exaggerating. His words encompassed everyone in the Dou Qi continent and the ninja world. Indeed, the aura of the man before him was quite unique. I'm also looking forward to seeing your true strength. The Lord of the Kyanwu Universe smiled, then vanished in an instant, approaching Uchiha Madara and delivering a punch. A fierce column of white light surged forth, seemingly the most powerful force in the world, shattering the entire world. Well timed. Madara's eyes widened, a light emanating from them. He similarly charged a punch, unleashing an equally massive beam of white light that clashed with the Kyanwu Universe Lord's own. The two powerful beams erupted with dazzling brilliance, and a terrifying wave of energy spread outward. Immortal level physical power. The Qianwu Universe Lord was shocked. With just one touch, he knew the true extent of Uchiha Madara's physical power. Immortal level physical power. What a genius. Even Cody, once known as humanity's greatest genius once seen in a billion years, didn't possess immortal level physical power at the stellar level. This was like a child effortless wielding a super weapon wielded by a strong man. This was beyond the realm of genius. This was a sheer freak. The next moment, the scenery before the Qianwu Universe Lord suddenly shifted, and he appeared in another dimension. Immortal level telekinesis amplification? And it directly affected my soul. Impossible. The Lord of the Qianwu Universe exerted his telekinesis, and the space before him shattered. He left Uchiha Madara's illusionary world. However, just as he left Uchiha Madara's illusionary world, the Lord of the Qianwu Universe saw a beam of white light coming towards him. What a series of killing moves. What a Uchiha Madara. Using the spatial laws of a universe supreme, the Lord of the Qianwu Universe barely dodged the attack, exclaiming in admiration. This series of killing moves was no less powerful than that of an ordinary immortal level powerhouse. If it weren't for his mastery of the flawed spatial laws as a universe supreme, he would have been doomed today. However, after using the spatial laws to dodge the attack, the Lord of the Qianwu Universe suddenly felt a surge of alarm, and instantly launched a punch behind him. Boom. Madara suddenly appeared behind the Lord of the Qianwu Universe, punching him. Having experienced the Dou Qi continent, Madara was already accustomed to fighting those who possessed the law of space. This kind of instantaneous movement allowed him to catch up in an instant. The two fists collided, and the air seemed to crack. Law of space, immortal level comprehension. Uchiha Madara, who the hell are you? The Lord of the Qianwu Universe was completely shocked. Physical strength, increased telekinesis, and comprehension of the law, all three of them reached the immortal level. As long as his basic physical fitness was improved, this would undoubtedly be an immortal powerhouse. PS. Second update. Chapter 209 Yuan Susanu. I'm destined to be the strongest, Uchiha Madara shouted, charging forward with punch after punch, like a torrential downpour. Genius. You're even more talented than Cody, the former #1 genius in the universe. If I'm not mistaken, I should be the first to witness your true strength. I know you must have a great secret, but whatever it is, since you're of my race, come on. Let me see your true strength. The Lord of the Qianwu Universe raised and lowered his palms, catching Uchiha Madara's powerful punches with each blow. Shadow clone technique. Uchiha Madara formed hand seals, and immediately, hundreds of shadow clones appeared simultaneously in the decisive battle space. Fire release. Great fire extinguishing. Hundreds of figures leaped into the sky, and 100 vast, raging seas of fire poured down from the sky, transforming the entire sky into a sea of red. The earth was illuminated in a dazzling crimson, and the entire space was churning violently under the intense heat. Immortal level of the law of fire. A gleam of light shone in the eyes of the Lord of the Qianwu Universe. While cultivating the law of space, he also cultivated the law of fire. How many more surprises could this Uchiha Madara have in store for him? Madara's main body clenched his right hand, entering the Chakravartin dimension, and sealing off the space where the Lord of the Qianwu Universe resided. Yes, in addition to the law of space, Madara had also comprehended all the laws related to him to the immortal level. The law of fire, the law of wood, the law of thunder, all of them immortal level. Sounds incredible, doesn't it? However, on the one hand, Madara's own strength has been continuously unlocked over the past 3 years, and the burden his soul can bear has become increasingly heavier. On the other hand, Madara can also use shadow clones when using the killing field. There is a significant difference between the shadow clones of the ninja world and those in the devouring stars. The clones in the devouring stars cannot gain experience and insights after being released, like the Hokage's shadow clones. Therefore, Madara's growth can be said to be exponential. On the surface, Madara has only grown in 3 years. However, if converted to the efficiency of an ordinary person's practice, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it has taken an average of 30,000 years. the Lord of the Kyanwu universe attempted to use the law of space to escape the concentrated fire area extinguished by Uchiha Madara's mighty fire. However, the next moment, he was astonished to discover that Uchiha Madara's spatial restraint was incapable of breaking through. After all, his understanding of the law of space was at the level of a cosmic venerable, yet an immortal's grasp of the law of space prevented him from instantly breaking it. In fact, ever since his initial defeat against Mang Xianqi on the Dou Qi continent, Uchiha Madara had focused his practice of the law of space on the creation of spatial barriers. Otherwise, he couldn't enjoy a full-scale battle. No matter how powerful, his blows would feel like hitting cotton, a feeling Uchiha hated. Upon realizing that the law of space was powerless against Uchiha, the Lord of the Kyanwu universe unleashed his full might. His venerable level physical strength and his understanding of the law of space simultaneously unleashed an invisible circle of light emanating from the Lord of the Kyanwu universe. In an instant, the sea of flames engulfed the entire sky. The simultaneous blasts of raging fire from hundreds of shadow clones proved utterly useless. Would release. The flower tree realm descended. Tiny seeds, one by one, pierced the earth, their immense vitality infused within them. Then, each seed slowly twisted upward, growing into a towering leafy tree. The vines, seemingly possessed of their own spirit, continuously spurred outward. At the tree's summit, buds of flowers burst forth, their countless pollen swelling around the entire space on a gentle breeze. The Lord of the Kyanwu universe leaped through the air, dodging the vine's attacks. His gaze was sharp, and he keenly sensed a threat in the pollen wafting from the blossoming flowers. This move, if he was not mistaken, combined the abilities of some of the illusionists within the psychic realm. Just now, Uchiha Madara's own telekinetic attack had already affected him. Now that he'd expended so much energy using a physical object as a carrier for his telekinesis, the attack would undoubtedly be even more powerful. The Lord of the Kyanwu universe clasped his hands together, his eyes gleaming with a brilliant light. From his mind, a vast ocean of telekinesis surged forth. Originally invisible, it now formed a massive storm of telekinesis, dispersing all incoming pollen. Tens of thousands of vines descending from the flower tree realm were unable to effectively impact the Lord of the Kyanwu universe's movements. The combined power of a venerable level body and eons of accumulated combat experience produced a terrifying outcome. Madara's gaze glared, and then a massive 10,000 meter tall Susanoo appeared within the void. Its massive wings spread out horizontally in the air, like a celestial being. In Susanoo's hands were two blue lightsabers, each 10,000 meters long. Atop Susanoo's body, a majestic azure armor adorned the air, a truly imposing presence. However, the Lord of the Kyanwu universe was not surprised but delighted. While a large size might convey greater strength to ordinary people, it meant he was cumbersome and slow. In an instant, the Lord of the Kyanwu universe soared into the sky like a cannonball. A sitting duck easy target, wouldn't it? However, to the Lord's surprise, the 10,000 meter long Susanoo suddenly began to shrink. Thousands of meters, hundreds of meters, tens of meters, a few meters. Finally, the massive Susanoo compressed into a suit of armor that tightly fitted Uchiha Madara's body, its color changing from blue to a deep blue-purple. This was Uchiha Madara's latest technique. Just as a book should be read first and then thinned out, Uchiha Madara believed that Susanoo's development path should be similar. From its initial skeleton, to its mature Karasu Tengu armor, to its humanoid form, and finally to its complete form, Susanoo's form became increasingly refined, its size growing larger and more imposing. However, as Susanoo grows in size, its energy utilization rate actually decreases. Madara's subsequent development, however, involves compressing the massive Susanoo into a form-fitting suit of armor. He calls it Elemental Susanoo. Note, the following appears to be unrelated text, and may be a separate topic. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210. 4 years later. The Yuan Susanoo, compressing the 10,000 meter tall perfect Susanoo into a single meter tall, close-fitting armor, demonstrates a terrifying energy utilization rate. countless times more powerful than the Pirate King's armament haki. Therefore, even if Madara's own physical strength were only at the immortal level, now possessed by the Yuan Susanoo, his physical strength rivaled that of the Lord of the Universe, who possessed the physical strength of a venerable. This is basically my strongest form now. You're strong and haven't let me down, Madara commented on the ongoing battle as he engaged the Lord of the Universe in a series of fierce clashes. The two white-robed figures in the sky resembled two streaks of white light, constantly colliding and separating. Each of them could engage in thousands of collisions per second, creating an absolute feast of combat. This state was indeed Madara's strongest form. With the exception of the power of the truth-seeking jade and the time ability gained from absorbing the fruit of the divine tree, Madara had unleashed every possible force. As for the Wang Xiang Xian, Shenluo Xian's Heng, and Abaku Xiangsing, which require a certain amount of preparation time, they are too cumbersome in this kind of battle. With their current venerable level physical strength, the two can easily break free from these three moves and explode in a few rounds. Your performance has far exceeded my imagination. It's hard for me to imagine what you will achieve in the future. However, your current strength level is only at the stellar level. If outsiders knew your current strength, you would be in great danger. During the Peak Genius competition and the time you went to the Virtual Universe Company after the Peak Genius competition, your life was definitely in danger. The Chaos City Lord of the Virtual Universe Company is one of humanity's most powerful beings. But before you come into contact with the Virtual Universe Company, your talent will inevitably attract the attention of countless aliens. How about coming to me? I'm willing to treat you as an equal and ensure your maximum safety. The Lord of the Kyanwu universe said this, his true thoughts. Uchiha Madara's talent was truly terrifying. Achieving his status as a universe supreme would be as easy as eating and drinking water. Given enough time, he could even reach the true master of the universe, standing at the pinnacle of the universe. He was willing to meet Uchiha Madara on equal terms. If you can fight with me every day, then why not? Madara responded swiftly. Alright. The Lord of the Kyanwu universe replied. Madara didn't use the truth-seeking jade to fight the Lord of the Kyanwu universe. He had almost realized that if he did, the Lord of the Kyanwu universe would likely be helpless against anyone of the same level. Both were in human form, just over a meter tall, without massive true forms or divine bodies. A single contact between his truth-seeking jade and the Lord of the Kyanwu universe would be a serious injury. In that case, the battle would be meaningless. More than 4 years later, Uchiha Madara, also wielding the Gen Susanoo, delivered a punch, which the Lord of the Kyanwu universe barely managed to block. Incredible. Your growth rate over the past 4 years is simply incredible. Your mastery of physical strength, telekinesis, and the principles of understanding have reached the level of immortality and invincibility. After you use this elemental Susanoo, even I, at the same level, couldn't stand up to you head on. If I hadn't upgraded to the universe level, I really wouldn't have been able to withstand that punch. Your Sharingan truly is an extremely abnormal bloodline ability. 4 years ago, you were already dominating this so-called Universe Genius tournament. Now, you're really bullying them by participating in it again after 4 years have passed, the Lord of the Kyanwu universe said with some emotion. To be frank, even if Uchiha Madara participated in a universe-level peak power competition, he would probably sweep the entire field, let alone a stellar-level peak genius competition. The so-called title of genius is nothing but an empty title. I don't care at all. It's just that you said the top few in this peak genius tournament will receive great benefits. Benefits that are so tempting that I have to go. After reaching the level of king level in terms of physical strength, telekinesis, and understanding of the laws, the rate of improvement starts to slow. You said the Chaos Monument would allow me to experience that kind of growth again. I'm really looking forward to it. Madara swept his leg across, striking directly at the vitals of the Lord of the Kyanwu universe. During the 4 years of fighting with the Lord of the Kyanwu universe, it must be said that Madara had grown tremendously. The Lord of the Kyanwu universe was a true cosmic supreme, providing him with immense assistance, both in terms of vision and in understanding the secret techniques of this world to enhance his strength. And most importantly, the Lord of the Kyanwu universe was truly powerful. It could be said that the Lord of the Kyanwu universe was Madara's first friend in the world of devouring stars. After a few more moves, the Lord of the Kyanwu universe waved his hand, and the two finally stopped fighting. If you need anything, contact me in the virtual universe. Of course, you can't contact me during the Chaos City period. Okay. Ban nodded and left the decisive battle space of the killing field. The Lord of the Kyanwu universe stood still, gazing high up at the sky. Uchiha Madara's arrival was sure to shock the universe. Besides Madara, two other dazzling talents from the Kyanwu universe participated in the Universe Genius Tournament. One was the Savage Rangjun, and the other was Luo Feng. When Luo Feng participated in the preliminaries, he was also a super genius at the entry level of the law. At that time, like Madara, he had only practiced for 3 years. Now, more than 4 years later, Luo Feng has improved significantly and is now recognized as the Kyanwu universe's second best talent after Uchiha Madara and Rangjun. A floating island above the Kyanwu continent. Swish. Luo Feng appeared at the floating island's teleport point. Mr. Luo Feng, please come this way. A cosmic class warrior in work clothes standing next to the teleport point smiled and pointed to a nearby path. Thank you. Luo Feng smiled and nodded, and then walked straight down the path. A moment later, Luo Feng spotted a large crowd gathered in a nearby square surrounded by beautiful flowers and plants. At first glance, there were hundreds of people, men and women of all stripes. However, at least a third of them resembled earthlings, a common look in the universe. Luo Feng's here. That lunatic. Many young men and women looked over. Luo Feng was clearly quite famous. P.S. The other geniuses will probably write a few hundred words to set the stage for Madara's appearance. Chapter 211. Battle of Cosmic Geniuses. Hey, crazy guy. Many of these people greeted Luo Feng with a smile. Luo Feng also greeted a few of his closest friends. As time passed, genius after genius arrived, and the crowd grew. The wild man Rangjun was relatively late, and eventually, 999 talented masters gathered. These 999 people stood together in a bustling crowd, many of whom knew each other in real life, or had befriended each other in battle, chatting and reminiscing about the past. Luo Feng, your strength has improved a lot in the past year or so. I know you've made great progress. The wild young man Rangjun looked down at Luo Feng. Luo Feng turned his head and glanced at the wild man, who was over 3 meters tall. Wait for the peak showdown. You'll know for yourself. I'm determined to win the second place in the Kyanwu universe. As for the first place in the Kyanwu universe, it was naturally Uchiha Madara. So confident? The wild man's eyes lit up. By the way, where's that Uchiha Madara? I haven't seen him in over 4 years. I heard many forces wanted to recruit him, but couldn't even find him. Luo Feng shook his head. He also didn't know where this Madara brother had gone. But he could imagine that Madara, the reincarnation of the Venerable, would have made even more terrifying progress than him. Suddenly, boom. An invisible pressure enveloped the entire square. The faces of the 990 peerless geniuses turned pale and their bodies trembled slightly. Then, with the sound of footsteps, a giant wearing a scaled armor robe and a helmet approached. His natural aura was like the arrival of the god of death. The strong smell of blood filled people with fear. The giant glanced around the square, then frowned slightly, radiating a sense of pressure. Why are there only 999 people? Who didn't come? The 999 people looked at each other in confusion. If the absent person was an unknown person, it might take dozens of seconds to find them. But the one who didn't come was Uchiha Madara, the absolute number one. Everyone realized it in an instant. All 999 geniuses were suddenly a little worried. No matter how strong Uchiha Madara was, the one in front of him was an immortal. Now, Uchiha Madara was in trouble. However, when the giant also realized this, his brows relaxed. As the most trusted subordinate of the Lord of the Kyanwu universe, he knew very well that Uchiha Madara and the Lord of the Kyanwu universe were equals, and they sparred almost every day. In the past 4 years, he had only sparred with Uchiha Madara once. As a result, he, an immortal, was embarrassedly beaten by someone of the same level, and he didn't even have a chance to fight back. That's why he felt much better when he later learned that Uchiha Madara could even surpass the Lord at the same level. The geniuses of the Kyanwu universe, by order of the Lord, will be led by me. The giant's voice boomed, his eyes shrouded by his helmet imbued with immense pressure. You may address me as Master 13, understand? Understood. The 999 peerless geniuses responded in unison. What a terrifying pressure. Luo Feng's forehead dripped with sweat. In reality, the pressure of his will would instantly shatter my soul. The 1,000 geniuses seemed as weak as ants before this giant in the scaled armor. Fear naturally welled up in their hearts. It was pure instinct, unsuppressed by even the strongest willpower. Rangjun, the giant in the scaled armor's robe, fixed his gaze on the young wildling Rangjun. Master 13, the young wildling bowed slightly. You are the only one in this group who is sure to survive elimination. The Lord has high hopes for you. Do not let the Lord down, understand? The giant in the scaled armor said. Yes, the young wildling replied respectfully. The scale armored giant glanced at the other young men and said coldly, as for the rest, there's little hope. Immediately, many of the young men clenched their fists, and Luo Feng, who was in the crowd, frowned slightly. HMPH. Don't be unconvinced. Strength isn't just talk, it's demonstrated in battle. The scale armored giant said coldly, except for Rangjun, the strongest among you is only at the level of Luo Feng. However, according to our intelligence, this class contains many rare talents. Luo Feng would be lucky to make it into the top 5,000, but his chances of breaking into the top 1,000 are slim. Of course, you could also create a miracle. History has shown some unparalleled talents who started out mediocre, but suddenly burst onto the scene in the final showdown. The scale armored giant glanced at the large group and then changed the subject. Alright, follow me. Sir 13, Brother Ban hasn't arrived yet. Should we wait a while? Luo Feng suddenly spoke at this time. Everyone else also looked at 13. Rangjun was the first among their 999 people, and Uchiha Madara was the first among their 1,000 people. 13 looked at Luo Feng. He had read Luo Feng's information. Uchiha Madara was also from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. The two might have had some connections in the past, so 13 rarely explained. You don't have to worry about him. He must have his own arrangements. Sir 13, in your judgment, I can enter the top 1,000. Luo Feng can enter the top 5,000. And how many can he enter? Rangjun asked in a low voice. 13 glanced at Rangjun and couldn't help laughing. You'd better not compare with him. He is the first, the absolute and undisputed first. Even Bulan, who is said to be a genius unmatched in billions of years in the universe, can only be defeated when he meets him. What a joke. Uchiha Madara can even beat him. If he can't dominate such a cosmic genius battle that is held once every 10,000 years, it would be ridiculous. Hearing this, everyone was silent. They expected this answer. This is really a cruel reality. 13 glanced at these people. Being in the same class as Uchiha Madara, it can be imagined that the pressure they must be under must be extremely great. But this is not the fault of these little guys. If he was in the same class as Uchiha Madara, he must be desperate in his heart. It can only be said that, if these little guys still maintain an enterprising spirit in the face of the insurmountable mountain of Uchiha Madara, the future of these little guys will be better than that of other classes. Without saying anything, 13 waved his hands, and then 1,000 people disappeared at the same time, and came to a brand new plane opened up in the virtual universe. Kyanwu Universe Team, there are 1008 buildings ahead, and your universe team is assigned to building 0825. A middle-aged man in a white robe saluted 13 respectfully. 13 nodded, then led the team to fly directly into the distance. After seeing the Kyanwu Universe Nation, other countries could not help but talk about it. PS. First update. I have been a bit busy recently, mainly with my studies. I have saved about 20 chapters of manuscripts, and then I write 3 chapters and post 2 chapters every day to prepare for the final sprint. I finished writing 4,000 words in an hour, and you actually said that I would delay. This is too much of an insult to my hand speed. That's it. Chapter 212, Battle of Cosmic Geniuses, Part 2. From afar, 1008 skyscrapers formed a natural ring. In the center, nestled among them, a beautiful plaza, filled with birdsong and fragrant flowers. In that beautiful plaza, many young men and women from various universes strolled and chatted. At a glance, there were at least 100,000 people. Landing, 13 voices boomed. The Qianwu universe's talented team quickly descended, landing at the edge of the plaza, and heading directly along the road toward building 0825. The plaza had dedicated access points to each building. Look, building 0825 belongs to Qianwu universe. It seems they're Qianwu universe's talented team. Rangjun, that tall, wild man is Rangjun. Yes. He's very powerful. Which one is Rangjun? Rangjun. What about Uchiha Madara? He's the ruthless man who wiped out an entire world region. I heard from people in our universe that he's the strongest in Qianwu universe. There's very little information about him, but after this selection is complete, we should be able to know his true strength. The geniuses from other universes watched the Qianwu team from afar and began to discuss. Because of Uchiha Madara and Rangjun, the Qianwu team was drawing much attention. Overhearing the distant chatter of the other geniuses, most of the Qianwu genius team harbored a secret resentment. Who among those who could break into the top 1000 of the Qianwu universe wasn't a supreme genius, a child of destiny? And now, it was clear that the geniuses from other universes only valued Uchiha Madara and the savage Rangjun, paying no attention to anyone else. Feeling a mix of emotions, the Qianwu genius team followed 13 into building 0825. The first floor of the building was spacious, easily accommodating thousands of people. Boom. The powerful pressure appeared, oppressing the 999 geniuses, and causing Luo Feng and everyone else to turn and look at 13. 13 subdued his pressure and said coldly, I have number plates here, ranging from 2 to 1000. Each of you will receive a number plate and proceed to your respective rooms. That's where you'll rest and live. Then 13 waved his hand. Number plates floated down one by one and landed in front of each person. The savage Rangjun stretched out his hand and grabbed the plate. There was only a number 2 on the number plate. Luo Feng also stretched out his hand and grabbed the number plate. There was only a number 3 on the number plate. And the number 1 plate undoubtedly belonged to Uchiha Madara, who was temporarily missing. You are free to disband. You can sleep and rest in the house, or go to the square to communicate with geniuses from other universes. 13 glanced at the geniuses and said in a cold voice, when it's getting dark, the organizers of the virtual universe company will summon all of you. No matter where you are in this plane of space, you can hear the notice. After saying that, 13 strode out directly. The 1000 geniuses from the Qianwu universe kingdom breathed a sigh of relief, and they gathered in groups of 3 or 5, each holding a number plate, chatting or going to find their own rooms. The central square surrounded by 1008 buildings is very large. Even if there are a million people in the square, it will not feel crowded at all, and flowers and plants as well as some ornamental animals can be seen everywhere around the square. There are also large restaurants scattered around the square. There are a total of 99 restaurants, and the geniuses from various universe countries can enter any other restaurant, but they cannot enter restaurant number 1. Boom. 13 streaked with light and landed in front of the door of restaurant number 1 in the square. Sir. The waiter at the door of the restaurant saluted respectfully. 13 walked directly in. There were thousands of seats on the first floor of the restaurant. At this moment, there were already hundreds of great beings here. 13. Here comes 13. Each of them had an aura that was either filled with murderous aura, or more violent than a star, or icy cold enough to freeze the soul. All kinds of heart-pounding auras were faintly emanating from them. These great beings, just sitting casually, seemed to be a world of their own, and the surrounding space seemed to be controlled by them. Yeah. 13 nodded slightly and sat down directly like a brave general. 13. I heard that your Qianwu universe has produced a genius named Uchiha Madara this time. Please reveal more information. This genius of yours has never shown up again except for participating in a crushing preliminary elimination match. 13 smiled. You will know everything when the selection officially begins tonight. Madara's strength is bound to shock everyone, and he looks forward to seeing the shocked expressions of these people. 13. This time your Qianwu universe may have 3 people who can break into the top 1000. Not far away, a tall, barefoot bald man with golden skin shouted, "In addition to Uchiha Madara and Rang-Chun, there is also a little guy named Dou Feng. He's not strong enough yet." 13 shook his head. "It's that Bolan from your Noah universe who is very strong. It's only at the stellar level, but his understanding of the laws of the origin of space has reached that level, which is indeed incredible." A group of great beings conversed. These beings were all sent by the rulers of their respective cosmic nations. For such a grand gathering of the major cosmic nations, the immortals sent were all formidable, even among the immortals themselves. For example, 13 was one of the 18 divine generals under the command of the Qian Wu ruler, a renowned being with a reputation spanning billions of years. Meanwhile, countless geniuses gathered in the square. Among them, the most eye-catching were those considered capable of breaking into the top 10 overall. The phantom demon Galisi, the illusionist, whose mere glance at the enemy was unstoppable. The Prince of Manka, with his lightsaber H and blood axe. These geniuses were surrounded by countless people. Suddenly, silence. The entire square fell silent. Hundreds of thousands of geniuses from various cosmic nations turned their heads and looked in one direction. From a distant building, a young man in white emerged. He was handsome, yet expressionless. He resembled an iceberg, carrying a blood-red long sword. Walking towards the square, his icy eyes swept over the hundreds of thousands of peerless geniuses, yet without the slightest wavering. Death God. Death God Bolan. It's him. The undisputed top 2 in this overall ranking. Death God Bolan, even more so than most realm masters, in comprehending the most difficult laws of spatial origin, had never appeared in the past million years of genius competition. And Madara, most people were unaware of his understanding of the laws. Meanwhile, outside this virtual continent, a white-robed figure appeared, his flowing sage robe, adorned with 9 jet black magatama beads, fluttering in the wind. It was none other than Uchiha Madara. This should be it. PS. Second update. Chapter 213. Battle of Cosmic Geniuses. Part 3. In restaurant number 1, a central plaza filled with hundreds of thousands of geniuses. As time passed, the leaders of each of the 1008 cosmic nations' genius teams, great immortal beings, all arrived at restaurant number 1. They chatted casually on either the first or second floor. This young man named Bolan has such a strong understanding of the fundamental laws of space at the stellar level. Perhaps in 100 epochs, he could become a space venerable. Space venerable? That's too much. He's still a long way off from becoming a space venerable. So many immortals have cultivated for eons and still haven't achieved the status of space venerable. He's still far from it. Well, how can space venerable be achieved so easily? Difficult, difficult, difficult. He's still a long way from even teleporting physically through space, let alone becoming a space venerable. That's overblown. It's been so long since our 1008 universe country has produced a new venerable. That young man may be a rare figure in every previous genius contest, but genius is genius. If he can become a powerful immortal comparable to us, I agree. But becoming a space venerable is simply too. It seemed as if the very word space venerable had struck a chord with the surrounding powerful immortals, and they all objected. 13 remained silent, observing the immortals silently. He shared the same sentiment as the other immortals. Even though Bolan was a rare genius, achieving space exalted was still a long way off. However, he knew that in this genius competition, there was another god-level figure guaranteed to become space exalted, even holding the potential to become master of the universe. The other immortals didn't know, but he alone knew, and this feeling filled him with a secret joy. Haha, what are you discussing? Such a lively discussion. A loud voice echoed throughout the first and second floors of Restaurant 1, instantly causing every immortal on the first floor to turn and look. At the main entrance, a man in a plain green robe appeared. He had a handsome face, but his head was covered in purple scales, and his eyes were filled with a smile. He stood there, seemingly non-existent, as if he were not even from the same time and space as the other immortals present. Boom. Hundreds of immortals on the first floor rose to their feet, each bowing in respect. Exalted. The hundreds of immortals bowed. This time, my virtual universe company is hosting a genius tournament. You, the major cosmic nations, have shown your unwavering support. On behalf of our virtual universe company, I express our gratitude, the man in the green robe and purple scales said with a smile. This is what we should do. Immortal voices echoed from the first floor to the second. Yes, the man in the green robe and purple scales nodded with a smile. You guys continue chatting. I'll gather those young people later. With that, the man in the green robe and purple scales turned and left. After he left, the hundreds of immortals on the first floor, as well as those who continued to descend from the second floor, began to discuss. It's the Nine Swords Venerable. I heard the Nine Swords Venerable was recently in a secret cosmic realm within the mechanical clan's territory. I didn't expect him to preside over this genius tournament. Come to think of it, hundreds of thousands of epochs ago, the Nine Swords Venerable was still at the star rank, and also participated in the genius tournament. Back then, the Venerable was the top performer of that class. The shock he caused to the various cosmic nations then was no less than that of this young man named Bolan right now. So what if he's gifted? The path to immortality alone is fraught with obstacles, and countless realm masters have fallen before the final threshold. Even Bolan had to endure countless trials and tribulations to achieve immortality, let alone the Space Venerable, which is a million times more difficult. These immortals sighed in regret. Each of them held immense authority in their respective cosmic nations, a formidable figure beneath the purview of their cosmic masters. They could easily destroy planets and stars. However, to become a regional venerable, one would possess the incredible ability to occupy vast star regions and build an entire cosmic nation. With a wave of his hand, the stars shifted, space shifted, and the so-called planets vanished like glass marbles before them. 13 watched the departing Nine Swordsmen. This 9 swordsmen were incredibly powerful, almost as powerful as their king. His proficiency with the sword made him even more powerful in frontal attacks. 13 turned his gaze back to the square. The selections were almost over, and he wondered if Uchiha Madara had arrived. Suddenly, 13 wiped his eyes and saw him. But why did the geniuses around him seem unresponsive to his arrival? Meanwhile, Uchiha Madara was wandering the square, passing countless geniuses, yet none of them noticed him. The reason was simple. Madara was entangled in a law related to the realm of the void and space. Those whose comprehension of this law hadn't reached the immortal level would hardly notice his presence. Madara had begun studying this law related to the realm of the void and space after discovering that it perfectly aligned with his Rinnegan ability, the chakra Ben Heaven. If the Wheelgrave prison and this law were used together, it would be an unstoppable existence for anyone below the immortal realm. Suddenly, a voice echoed from Madara's mind. All participants from the 1008 universe nations, assemble at the central square. Madara raised his eyebrows. The telekinesis imbued in this voice was powerful, as if it were urging people to act spontaneously. Numerous geniuses flew in from the sky, flew out from the residential buildings, and converged from the edges of the central square. Millions of them did the same. In a matter of moments, 1,008,000 geniuses formed a massive, orderly formation and stood in the central square. And then, millions of geniuses woke up. What's going on? What happened? Huh? Why are we here? I was just inside. Every one of the millions of geniuses in the formation was stunned. Even the death god Bran shared a look of shock. The only one who remained calm was Uchiha Madara, but even then, the other geniuses still didn't notice Madara. At this moment, at the front of the square formation stood 1008 immortals. These immortals naturally radiated their overwhelming might. The pressure of thousands of powerful immortals instantly silenced the millions of people in the square formation, and no one dared to utter a word. Welcome to the Peak Genius competition hosted by our virtual universe company. A gentle voice reached everyone's ears. Everyone looked in shock. In the air ahead, previously empty, a man in a cyan battle robe, with purple scales on his head, appeared. He wore a smile. But standing in midair, he resembled an ancient god king. The natural, subtle aura he emanated made millions of young people involuntarily submit. Moreover, although they could only see the cyan-robed man in the distance, every genius present felt as if this great supreme being was in a different dimension from them. This sense of time and space distortion was very unsettling. Ban raised his eyebrows. This must be a cosmic master, with an aura similar to that of the Lord of the Kyanwu universe. The Nine Swords Master looked at Uchiha Madara in surprise. Uchiha Madara's understanding of the laws of space was almost the same as his. Chapter 214, Battle of Cosmic Geniuses, Part 4. The Nine Swords Master was well aware that, as a cosmic master, if his level of comprehension of the laws of space was 10,000, then the death god Boran, who publicly possessed the highest level of comprehension among this group, might only have a level of 1, or even less. And this Uchiha Madara before him, actually had the same level of comprehension of the laws of space as him? Why had the Lord of the Kyanwu universe sent such a super monster this time? He had never encountered such a person in countless cosmic genius tournaments. Although the Nine Swords Master's expression froze for a moment, the thousands of immortals immediately sensed it. Following the Nine Swords Master's gaze, they all spotted Uchiha Madara. Who is this? Compared to him, Bolan's understanding of the laws of space is like that of a newborn baby. Someone recognized Uchiha Madara and said, 13. This young man from your universe country has such a terrifying understanding of the laws. It seems that little Bolan is nothing but a joke in front of you, young man. 13 smiled. This was exactly what he wanted. It must be said that he felt very happy at this moment. The Nine Swords Master also recovered and began to announce the rules. There are 1008 cosmic countries, and each of them will select 1000 people, for a total of more than 1 million geniuses. The man in green robes stood in the void, overlooking the 1 million geniuses below, and said in a gentle voice, our virtual universe company will select the strongest 1000 people from among you, and absorb them into the core of our virtual universe company. 1 million of you are competing for these 1000 places. The rules are as follows. Tomorrow, all of you will enter a trial space separately. Our virtual universe company has prepared more than 1 million trial spaces for you, one for each person. There are a total of 7 trial towers in the trial space. Each trial tower has 7 floors. Start from the first trial tower. After you have passed the 7 floors of the first trial tower, go to the second trial tower until you die and are kicked out of the trial space. The points will be calculated based on your performance in the trial space. Those ranked first to 100th in points will be directly absorbed into our virtual universe company as core members without further screening and will be given 100 places. Ranked 101st through 7300th, these 7200 will then face off in the arena to compete for 900 spots. As for those ranked 7300 and below, all will be eliminated. The Nine Swords Master's words stunned the millions of geniuses present. There were a total of 1,008,000 participants this time, meaning that just this one trial space eliminated over a million. However, those who were sluggish were those who lacked confidence in their own abilities. Those who were confident, like Madara, Bolan, and Luofeng, didn't really care. Madara, in particular, felt that none of the geniuses present were worthy of being his opponent. The only one who could stop him was himself. Everyone, get ready. We will be teleporting all participants to their respective trial spaces. A mysterious invisible force descended upon the entire plane, instantly transporting all 1,008,000 young geniuses within it. This was a massive, nearly rectangular meteorite, nearly 100 kilometers long, suspended in the starry sky. Swish. Madara appeared on the meteorite and looked around. In the distance, there were tiny stars, and not too far from him, ordinary lifeless planets. He nodded in agreement. The virtual universe has built millions of trial spaces, and one of them can be so real. 7 trial towers were built on this meteorite drifting through the universe. Each tower was as tall as a mountain, over 10 kilometers high and several kilometers in radius. 7 trial towers were situated in different locations on this massive meteorite. Madara looked down at his wrist. There was a screen on it, just like the preliminaries within the Kyanwu universe. Participant, Uchiha Madara, Kyanwu universe, points. 0 ranking, non-trial space, number 027938. There are 7 trial towers in the trial space, and each trial tower has 7 floors. In the first trial tower, each floor can get a maximum of 10,000 points. If all 7 floors are successful, the maximum score can be 70,000 points. In the second trial tower, each floor can get a maximum of 100,000 points. If all 7 floors are successful, the maximum score can be 700,000 points. In the 4th trial tower, each floor can get a maximum of 10 million points. If all 7 floors are successful, the maximum score can be 70 million points. In the 7th trial tower, each floor can get a maximum of 10 billion points. If all 7 floors are successful, the maximum score can be 70 billion points. Note, upon death, the trial ends. There are 2 ways to pass each level. 1. Kill all targets on that level to earn the highest score and be teleported directly to the next level. 2. If you fail to kill all targets and are still alive after 10 days, you will be teleported directly to the next level to continue the trial. When all participants are dead, the trial ends. The final ranking is determined. See the leaderboard below. Upon seeing these rules, Madara couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. This rule says the trial ends when all die. What does that mean? It means no one can pass all 7 trial towers. Clearly, the trial towers are incredibly difficult. The Virtual Universe company is confident they can ensure the demise of all participants. Interesting. He wants to see just how difficult these 7 trial towers are. If no one has passed, then he'll definitely pass them all. Boom. Uchiha Madara transformed into a stream of light and flew to the first trial tower. The entrance to the tower, over 10 kilometers tall, was marked with a 1 on the gate post. It was the first trial tower. Just as he entered the tower, the text on Uchiha Madara's screen changed. First tower, first floor. 10,000 ferocious beasts, blood-haired mammoths. Each kill yields 1 point. Killing all of them earns 10,000 points and allows you to be teleported directly to the second floor. If you haven't killed them all but survive for 10 days, you'll be teleported directly to the second floor. Death. The trial ends. A timer counted down along the edge of the arm screen, clearly indicating that once 10 days were up, he would be teleported. Holding a black immortal staff in hand, his white robes flowing behind him, Madara stood at the center of this world. Even a lion fighting a rabbit uses all its might. Come on. In the virtual universe, 1008 immortals sat haphazardly in the central square. The eliminations in the trial space weren't broadcast publicly to the entire universe, only the ranking changes were publicly announced. The final arena showdown would be broadcast publicly. However, the immortals from the major cosmic nations were authorized to observe each participant's progress. And then, something shocking happened. Chapter 215, Battle of Cosmic Geniuses, v. Damn, this Bolin is already fast. His points had far surpassed the 3rd place. But Uchiha Madara's points had far surpassed Bolin again. This is really a spectacle. Open the market. Open the market. Do you think Uchiha Madara can break through the entire 7-story trial tower? Break through the entire 7-story trial tower. It's impressive that Bolin made it to the 2nd level of the 6th floor. Do you think Uchiha Madara can break through the entire 7-story trial tower? That's countless times more difficult. Since the establishment of the 7-story trial tower, there has been no intention of allowing even a single star level person to pass. I don't think it's possible. The 1008 powerful immortals could easily see the leaderboard and observe the trial progress. Now representing their respective universes, they naturally hoped that their genius would shine brightest, so as to save face. For these beings with eternal life, face and dignity are very important. However, this year's Cosmic Genius tournament was clearly somewhat unique. Beyond the prestige of their respective nations, the immortals' attention was largely focused on Uchiha Madara, a figure who could potentially become humanity's future pinnacle of combat power. First level trial tower, level 7, Zerg Hive. Destroy the Zerg Hive to earn 10,000 points and teleport directly to the first level of the 2nd trial tower. Zerg Hive, in reality, the weakest Zerg Hives rival Realm Masters, and many even rival Immortals. The Zerg Hives in this trial tower are scaled down to suit the test taker. Recommendation: destroy the Zerg Hive as soon as possible. The later you do, the more numerous and stronger Zerg it will spawn. Boom. The 7th layer of space suddenly transformed, transforming into a vast desert. In the green expanse of the desert center stood a massive sphere, approximately 60 meters in diameter. Its surface was punctuated by irregularities, naturally emitting a toxic aura, even flowing with venom itself. Uchiha Madara gazed upon the Zerg Hive before him. The Zerg, one of the most powerful races in the universe, rivaled only humanity. They were a truly bizarre species. Their population, to say it was too high was terrifying, and too low was pitiful. A single Zerg hive could produce billions of individual Zerg warriors, their swarms traversing the universe through the sheer force of human and insect waves. However, the intelligence of those fighting Zerg warriors was extremely low, almost non-existent, driven solely by instinct. Countless Zerg warriors obeyed the hive's orders with absolute certainty. If the hive commanded them to their deaths, not a single Zerg warrior would resist. So, within the Zerg, only the hive can truly be considered a truly intelligent being. The Zerg population, measured in units of hives, is pitifully small. Yet, each hive, at its weakest, rivals a realm lord, while the strongest rivals an immortal. A single hive, spawning countless Zerg, is enough to conquer an entire star system, or even command a vast star region. This virtual universe is truly remarkable. Normally, even every warrior within a hive would have to be at realm lord level, and unless an immortal were present, a Zerg hive would be virtually invincible. And now, this virtual universe has actually managed to directly simulate something as miraculous as a Zerg hive. Well, since that's the case, he'll be able to gain more combat experience. With that thought, Madara charged towards the Zerg hive and split it open. From the nest flew a 6-meter tall, translucent white figure, seemingly made of crystal. The queen possessed beautiful transparent butterfly wings, her face shrouded in a faint mist, possessing an extraordinary allure. Strange beautiful music rang out, reaching the ears. A Zerg queen skilled in telekinetic charm. At the same moment, with a swish, a powerful telekinesis, exceedingly powerful for a 9th level star, pierced Uchiha Madara's consciousness. Boom. Madara's spirit remained motionless, the attacking telekinesis dissipating instantly. Time passed. The beautiful Zerg queen tried every possible means to attack Uchiha Madara, but her frail body could only rely on mental power. But using mental power, in front of Madara's immensely powerful soul, it was like an ant trying to shake a tree, unable to affect him at all. In fact, a queen capable of killing all Zerg warriors usually offers little resistance. The queen's strength lies in her ability to nurture an endless and diverse array of Zerg warriors. After thoroughly understanding the queen's attack methods, Madara looked at the Zerg queen. The seemingly fragile and pitiful queen gazed at him with a pair of blue eyes tinged with resentment. Puff. A burst of power pierced the Zerg queen's body. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. After defeating all the opponents on the 7th floor of the first trial tower, Madara was teleported to the 2nd trial tower, and he discovered something truly miraculous. The opponent in this 2nd trial tower is surprisingly identical to the first. The only difference is, their strength has skyrocketed. The same ferocious beast, the blood mammoth. The second one is so much stronger than the first. Then there's the 3rd, the 4th, and even the 5th, 6th, and 7th. No wonder the virtual universe company is so confident that they can kill everyone. Ban smiled. If the opponents on each floor were to experience such a surge in strength, then this trial would indeed be promising. The 7 trial towers had the same objectives and numbers, only their strength varied. The first floor was filled with 10,000 ferocious blood-haired mammoths. Their frontal attack capabilities were immense, and 10,000 blood-haired mammoths charging together were a formidable threat. The second floor was filled with 10,000 demonic beasts, the 9-headed pythons. The difference between demonic beasts and ferocious beasts was, their intelligence was exceptionally high. The monsters on Earth, for example, were actually demonic beasts, and because of their intelligence, they could coordinate with one another. The third floor was filled with 1,000 metallic life forms, the Tora warriors. A crucial difference between metallic life forms and flesh and blood life forms was that they feared neither pain nor death, posing a far greater threat. The fourth floor was filled with 1,000 cosmic creatures, the flying hounds, a unique and exceptional type of ferocious beast, a formidable version of the first and second floors. The fifth floor was filled with 100 mechanical puppets, a strengthened version of the metal life forms. The sixth level features 10 of the star beasts, the Kang. These star beasts are at the same level as the golden horned beasts, reaching realm master status upon reaching adulthood. The 7th level features one Zerg hive. While there's only one Zerg hive, Theoretically, it could be considered an infinite number of enemies, making it a perfect fit for the final stage. Chapter 216, Battle of Cosmic Geniuses, 6th. As Madara advanced through each level, the number of geniuses eliminated from the trial towers grew. 1 million geniuses had passed the first and second trial towers, but from the very first level of the third, a large number were eliminated. The third trial tower saw the highest number of eliminations, nearly 90% of the total. For example, Yunlan, whom Madara had previously battled, was eliminated at the 7th level of the third trial tower. The endless stream of Zerg warriors spawned within the Zerg hive left Yunlan completely unable to react. Of the remaining geniuses, another 99% were eliminated in the 4th trial tower. To enter the 5th trial tower, even just passing the first level, would place one in the top 100. Time passed, and soon, of the 1 million geniuses, only 3 remained: Uchiha Madara, the Death God Bolin, and the surviving Luofeng. At this point, the Death God Bolin had completed all 7 levels of the 6th trial tower, and entered the 7th. Death God Bolin looked at the virtual screen in his hand, and clenched his fist tightly. MO2 Bolin, Noah Universe, points, 7,777,770,000. His points have reached over 7 billion. The third placed person only has a few billion points. His strength, it could be said, made the third placed person despair. But at the same time, he could also feel the despair of being unable to surpass the peak before him. Before him, Uchiha Madara's points had reached over 60 billion. He had already reached the 6th level of the 7th trial tower, and judging by the speed at which his points were soaring, he would soon reach the 7th level of the 7th trial tower and challenge the final level of the tower. Death God Bolin gripped his sword tightly. Judging by the power increase in the previous levels, the creatures in the 7th trial tower would surely be incredibly powerful. A moment later, tens of thousands of blood-red mammoths from the first level appeared and rushed towards Bolin. Each of these blood-red mammoths' attacks contained the laws of origin, and the level of his comprehension was far more than just a rudimentary grasp of the origin laws. Death God Bolin was injured. He had easily conquered the 6 trial towers, but now he was forced to unleash his full might. Surrounded by a raging, maddened mammoth, they attacked and trampled upon him. Suddenly, a dense mass of white-robed youths appeared, each incredibly real. Within a certain radius, a cyan air current permeated the surrounding area. Within this cyan air stream, thousands of these white-robed youths seemed to have become the absolute domain of this Death God Bolin, allowing him to strike from any point. The sword light was piercing. Each strike seemed to slice through space, as fast as lightning. Each strike was so swift that it was invisible to the naked eye for the geniuses present. As eerie as the wind, each strike was impossible to discern, its trajectory seemingly devoid of any pattern. Puff, puff, puff. Each sword strike pierced the vital points of the woolly mammoth's head, sending blood splattering again and again. One woolly mammoth after another, rivaling the top 100 overall, was slain, while the others launched an even more frantic and effective attack, their massive iron hooves repeatedly trampling upon Death God Bolin. Precision. Incomparable precision. One woolly mammoth after another collapsed. This was Death God Bolin, his sword a sure kill. Puff. A woolly mammoth's tusk pierced Bolin's arm, sending blood splattering as all its phantom forms vanished. HMPH. A fierce gleam flashed in the eyes of the cold, white-robed young man, and his blood-red sword pierced the mammoth's skull. Boom boom. The other woolly mammoths attacked and trampled him furiously. After 3 consecutive heavy blows, the young man was finally sent flying, crushed to death by the mammoth's crushing force. 10,000 blood wool mammoths, and the Death God Bolin slew 5,612. On the first level of the 7th trial tower alone, he earned 5.612 billion points, bringing his total to over 10 billion. But, he still failed. On the first level of the 7th trial tower, failed. After being teleported out of the trial tower, the Death God Bolin clenched his fists. He had undoubtedly unleashed his full might, but even so, he had only slain half of the tens of thousands of blood wool mammoths. Meanwhile, Uchiha Madara had not only slain all the blood wool mammoths, but had also continued to charge through several levels in a row. The Death God Bolin glanced at the large screen before him. He ignored Liu Feng, who was still plodding along in the 5th trial tower, and fixed his gaze directly on Uchiha Madara. He wanted to see just how strong Uchiha Madara truly was. The 6th level of the 7th trial tower. 10 star beasts, the Kang, each approximately 300 meters long, with a tail nearly as long. Their bodies were covered in dark golden scales, and sharp, upright protrusions radiated from their backs. Their heads were enormous, their wide, bloody maws chilling, their teeth possessing an incredible bite force. Beneath their bare scale-covered heads were a pair of enormous triangular eyes, radiating a cold, bloodthirsty gaze. At this moment, Madara's original form stood with its arms folded across its chest, facing 10 shadow clones, each possessing only 10% of his power. Despite possessing only 10% of his power, their physical strength and telekinesis were truly venerable level, more than enough to crush the 10 star beasts. The reason Madara didn't pass immediately was because he was playing with them, or rather, using them as a whetstone. None of Madara's 10 shadow clones used their full physical strength, each employing a different principle. Gold, water, wind, and earth. Those familiar with Madara knew these were the laws he wasn't particularly adept at. His level of understanding was probably only at the Realm Master level, probably not even comparable to that of the Death God, Boren. Yet, even with this limited understanding, his 10 shadow clones fought back and forth against a space beast far more powerful than the Blood Wool Mammoth from the 1st stage of the 7th trial tower. In other words, they crushed it. Madara remained unscathed, while the space beast, despite his shadow clones not exerting their full strength, was still battered. Madara's original form glanced at the virtual screen, and saw that the Death God, Boren, had been eliminated. Only he and Liu Feng remained in the trial tower. Liu Feng was in the 6th stage of the 5th trial tower, while he was in the 6th stage of the 7th. He didn't need to compete with Liu Feng for the final spot. He had already figured out the intricacies of this stage. As long as one of the 3 comprehension of the laws, physical strength, or telekinesis reached the immortal level, he would essentially be able to pass it. These 7 trial towers were ultimately unable to test his limits. The next moment, Madara's 10 shadow clones simultaneously began to exert their power. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217, Battle of Cosmic Geniuses, Part 7. 10 ferocious star beasts roared and snarled, sensing a profound threat. The next moment, Uchiha Madara's 10 shadow clones all held a unique stance. Then, they simultaneously spun, and launched a punch. A powerful punch instantly crossed the distance between the clones and the star beasts. A sharp buzzing sound echoed as the punch slammed fiercely into the star beasts. The instant the punch struck the star beasts, the area directly in contact with the punch violently twisted and deformed. A look of extreme pain spread across the star beasts' faces. The power of the punch then radiated through the star beasts, spreading throughout their bodies. As the star beasts were launched into the air, their massive 300-meter body shattered in an instant, instantly slain by Uchiha Madara's single punch. Madara formed a seal with his right hand, and his 10 shadow clones transformed into a puff of white mist, dissipating where they had been. Madara stood calmly on the ground, his gaze piercing the entire trial tower. One final level remained. Meanwhile, the immortals watching from outside, and even the higher-ups of humanity, began to focus on the Uchiha squad's battle. In Chaos City, the Lord of Chaos, who had previously closed his eyes, opened them, his gaze piercing through the boundless space and time, gazing upon Uchiha Madara and the virtual universe. These 7 trial towers had been personally constructed by the Lord of Chaos, and he understood better than anyone the sheer difficulty of navigating them. In the eyes of many immortals, no one in human history had ever conquered all 7. However, someone had, in fact, made it through. This person was the Lord of Chaos's disciple, hailed as a genius rarely seen in millions of epochs. The 7 trial towers had a total of 49 levels, precisely reaching the limit of Cody. If Uchiha Madara could successfully pass the 7 trial towers, it would prove he was as gifted as Cody. How powerful was Cody? Primordial, Cosmic, and Domain Lords had all successfully passed the primordial Tangshan Mountain. Even during his time as a Realm Lord, Cody was already capable of slaying the Immortal King. Had he not fallen, Cody would undoubtedly have become one of the most powerful cosmic masters in human history. If Uchiha Madara were the next Cody, he would never allow Uchiha Madara to repeat Cody's mistakes. He would certainly not allow members of other peak clans to assassinate him. At the Great Axe Arena, the Great Axe founder paused his axe, his gaze traversing endless time and space as he gazed at Uchiha Madara. The Great Axe founder shared the same sentiments as the Chaos City Lord, and even more so, he viewed the matter from the perspective of the entire human race. Zerg, Mechanoid, Demon, and Human. The universe boasts 6 peak races. If such a peerless genius emerged from the human race, the other peak races would inevitably assassinate him at all costs. He had witnessed Cody's tragedy before. It wasn't just a tragedy for the Chaos City Lord, but for humanity as a whole. He, the founder of the Great Axe, would not allow this to happen. Meanwhile, in the 7th Trial Tower, a steady stream of Zerg warriors emerged from the Zerg hive. Each one of these Zerg warriors rivaled the might of the starry sky behemoth Kang from the 6th level of the 7th Trial Tower, effectively matching the top 100 talents from the entire universe's current genius competition. However, the starry sky behemoth Kang on the 6th level only numbered 10, while the Zerg warriors on the 7th level were practically countless. Anyone encountering this level would inevitably have only one thought: despair. This was an infinite desert. Across the green desert, a 120-meter diameter sphere, pockmarked with pits, oozes venom, emitting a faint fumes. 120 meters is equivalent to a 40-story building. Suddenly, from the craters of this massive hive, roughly 40 stories high, erupted a flood of cyan, slimy, triangular-headed Zerg, covered in cyan shells. They possessed 2 antennae, large compound eyes, and powerful bodies. Their bodies were supported by 2 hind legs, 4 forelimbs like swords, and 2 translucent wings adorned their backs. Each pit in the 40-story hive, roughly a meter in diameter, erupted almost instantly. 1,000 Zerg surged forth from the surface. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 waves of this surged forth, and approximately 3,000 Zerg emerged, all of them green mantises. Green mantises are the most common type of cannon fodder among the combat Zerg of the Zerg. They are called cannon fodder because they appear on battlefields outside the realm. Fortunately, the entire Zerg hive has been calibrated for strength. Otherwise, a true Zerg hive could produce many different types of creatures. Functionally, they can be categorized into reconnaissance, assassination, ranged attack, and assault, among others. Structurally, the categorization is even greater. Just minutes into the 7th stage, thousands of Zerg warriors filled the air, a dense, terrifying mass. However, despite their incessant screams, they couldn't locate Uchiha Madara. Where was he? Where was the enemy? Amidst the Zerg swarm, a figure in a white robe moved forward calmly, and all the Zerg warriors in its path unconsciously made way for it. Madara's expression remained calm. No one below the immortal level could see him, not even the Zerg hive. He viewed the Zerg warriors brandishing their claws in the sky as pitiful figures destined to never touch his world. Madara continued walking, soon arriving near the Zerg hive. The hive exuded an irresistible allure, its expression pitiful and delicate. However, Uchiha Madara could see that beneath its tender expression lay a hidden veil of endless scorn. With his first wave of his hand, the scattered Zerg warriors in the massive 100-meter tall hive halted their movements. Time seemed to stand still at that moment. The expressions on the faces of the Zerg warriors and hive remained vivid, yet they were like sculptures. What? The peak warriors from every corner of humanity, watching this battle, including the Lord of Chaos, the founder of the Great Axe, and countless other lords of the universe and cosmic exalted, could not help but express surprise. In this universe, 2 laws are the most difficult to comprehend. One is the law of space. While difficult, there are still traces to follow, and there are many powerful individuals who have mastered this law. However, there is another law that is even more difficult to master than the law of space. It can be said that it is something that can only be encountered by chance, but not sought after. It is something that countless people in the entire universe dream of. That is the law of time. Chapter 218, Battle of Cosmic Geniuses, 8th. Madara waved his hand for the first time, and the Zerg warriors and hives froze. With his second wave, the Zerg warriors and hives exploded into a bloody mist. With his third wave, the bloody mist vanished from the entire sky and earth, and the world once again fell into an extreme silence and a vast expanse of white. The next moment, Madara vanished from the spot he had been standing on. With his disappearance, the entire universe erupted in excitement. Number 1 in the universe. That's number 1 in the universe. Such a genius has appeared in our Kyanwu universe. Incredible. Too strong. Truly too strong. The entire Kyanwu universe erupted in excitement. Hundreds of millions of galaxies, countless citizens, all had a frenzy on their faces. Number 1 in the universe came from their own nation, Kyanwu universe. What an honor. The corners of the Kyanwu universe king's mouth curled up in a knowing smile. Fame would soon become known to the world. He had anticipated this day since the first day he began sparring with Madara 4 years ago. He could see Madara's progress through the 7th trial tower and knew he wasn't even at his full strength. Madara's future had only just begun. The 9 swordsmen and the 1008 immortals in charge of the Universe Genius tournament were completely stunned. How could he have easily passed the Zerg Hive, the final stage of the 7th trial tower? Judging from Uchiha Madara's expression, he clearly had plenty of strength left. 7 entire trial towers hadn't been able to bring out Madara's true strength. How terrifying. Our human race is about to produce a peerless genius. The immortals exclaimed. 13. You're truly unkind. 13 laughed heartily, brimming with self-satisfaction. The 1 million geniuses on this trip fell silent, including the death god Boran, considered a genius once in a billion years. He clenched the nails of all 5 fingers into his palms. The gap, an endless gap, a gap of despair. It left the death god Boran feeling a heavy, suffocating feeling. At this moment, the Chaos City Lord and the Great Axe Founder simultaneously entered the virtual universe and met. Chaos, immediately classify Uchiha Madara's information as top secret for our human race. The fewer people who know about this, the better, the Great Axe Founder said solemnly. Okay, I understand. The Chaos City Lord nodded, and several virtual screens appeared before him. Instantly, Uchiha Madara's information was classified as top secret for our race, on par with secrets related to the Master of the Universe. With this accomplished, the two breathed a sigh of relief. His talent is truly astonishing. The Zerg and machine undercover agents within our race will surely spread this information at all costs, the Great Axe Founder said. There's no such thing as an impenetrable wall. I'll personally monitor this for the time being. If the Zerg and machine really want to take action, I won't let them suffer any consequences. Furthermore, after the upcoming arena battle, Uchiha Madara will enter my Chaos City. In my Chaos City, no one can touch him, the Chaos City Lord declared. The problem is, your Chaos City is in the initial universe. He must leave the Kyanwu Universe Kingdom and come here. He must be protected by powerful beings of the Invincible King, or even the Universe Venerable level. The Great Axe Founder warned again. Okay, I'll take care of all that. The conversation between humanity's 2 most powerful beings ended there. While the Chaos City Lord and the Great Axe Founder classified Uchiha Madara's information as top secret, the millions of geniuses, thousands of immortals, and even the 9 Swords Venerable, who was leading the team, received a stringent agreement through their virtual assistants, with mandatory enforcement. Anyone caught leaking information about Uchiha Madara would be targeted by the Virtual Universe Company and the Great Axe Arena, 2 of humanity's most powerful organizations, and hunted permanently. The 9 Swords Venerable and the thousands of immortals exchanged glances and each gave a wry smile. Immortals and Venerables were considered to have initial access to humanity's inner circle. They naturally understood the importance of maintaining secrecy around a genius like Uchiha Madara. The 9 Sword Masters and thousands of immortals ultimately understood the stakes, but among the millions of geniuses, there were still a few troublemakers. Just as these troublemakers opened their mouths to speak, they were silenced by the leading immortals of their respective cosmic nations. They knew that behind this matter lay the resolve of the Chaos City Lord and the Great Axe Founder. Anyone who dared to express dissatisfaction at this moment would surely face a bitter end. Uchiha Madara, transported back to this continent of geniuses, maintained a calm expression. What had just happened was nothing to him. If there were 10 trial towers, perhaps their strength could be tested. However, what was certain was that even in reality, with his strength largely unlocked and the triple boost of physical strength, telekinesis, and comprehension of the laws, a duel with a Marquisate level immortal would not be difficult. Madara glanced at the leaderboard before him. Only one person remained in the trial tower, Liu Feng, who had reached the first level of the 6th trial tower. As expected of a child of destiny, this way of attracting attention was truly exceptional. A moment later, Liu Feng was also transported out. He had only reached the first stage of the 6th trial tower, but his overall score placed him 6th overall, a very impressive achievement. Madara had clearly noticed this. Liu Feng's strength and self-discipline were far superior to Xiao Yan's. To have reached this level in just a few years, not to mention anything else, the mere fact that he was still on the same stage as Xiao Yan was truly remarkable. Madara flung himself aside, entering his own world beside the wheel grave. Genius isn't to be feared. What's frightening is a genius who's even more talented than you, and works even harder. And Madara clearly wasn't the type to be complacent with a small success. It was his daily, intense self-improvement that had shaped him into the Uchiha Madara who shone so brightly even on the stage of the 10,000 worlds. Thousands of immortals watched Uchiha Madara's abrupt departure. They couldn't even register his current position, which was a bit outrageous. Your Excellency, where has Uchiha Madara gone? I'd like to meet him. Was that teleportation just now? Speaking of the laws of space, we must definitely consult Your Excellency. Many immortals came to the side of the Nine Swords Venerable, asking expectantly. The Nine Swords Venerable smiled and said, no. Suddenly, a group of immortals howled like wolves. The Nine Swords Venerable looked towards the distance, where Uchiha Madara had left. The problem was, even he couldn't tell where Uchiha Madara had gone. Chapter 219 Chapter 31-30 To the Battle of Cosmic Geniuses. 9. After the million geniuses were eliminated, a total of 7,300 remained. However, just as the Qianwu Universe Kingdom held a competition to determine the final 1,000 spots, the Virtual Universe Company also held competitions to determine the final 1,000 spots. The top 100 participants in the preliminary elimination rounds would directly qualify for the core team of the Virtual Universe Company. Participants ranked 101st to 7,300th would then face 3 competitions to determine the remaining 900 spots. At this point, the 3 elimination rounds proceeded at a breakneck pace. The first round took 5 minutes, eliminating 3,600 participants. An hour later, all 3 rounds concluded, and the 900 spots were decided. These 3 elimination rounds were specifically designed for those geniuses who couldn't fully unleash their full potential in the trial tower, such as illusionists like Phantom Galicia and most warriors. 1,000 talented elites gathered together. Many were considered to be in the top 10 or 20, or even considered themselves to be in the top tier. They all watched the others. Congratulations. A faint voice reached the minds of the 1,000 people, and they all noticed the man in the cyan robe and scaled armor appearing in front of them. You are the 1,000 best individuals from the 1,008 cosmic nations of the entire human race in this year's genius competition. We at Virtual Universe will fully train you. If anyone doesn't want to join the Virtual Universe Company, please speak up now. Silence fell. No one said a word. Very good. However, you should understand that competition is ever present in the universe, and there is competition everywhere. You 1,000 people, it is impossible for you to receive the same treatment and the same training resources. Even my Virtual Universe Company would not dare to waste precious resources like this. The man in the cyan battle robe and purple scale smiled. Let me announce it. Among the 1,000 of you, the 101st to 1,000th place can receive a bonus of 10 Union units, can enter the initial universe for contemplation, and can join the core apocalypse secret realm of my Virtual Universe Company. The 11th to 100th place can receive a bonus of 100 Union units, can enter the initial universe for contemplation, and can join the core heaven and earth secret realm of my Virtual Universe Company. The 3rd to 10th place can receive a bonus of 1,000 Union units, can enter the initial universe for contemplation, and can join the core Teichu secret realm of my Virtual Universe Company. The 1st and 2nd place can receive a bonus of 10,000 Union units, can enter the initial universe for contemplation, and can join the core original secret realm of my virtual universe company. Normally, the original secret realm only admits one person per class. However, your class is quite exceptional, so after deliberation, the top management of the virtual universe company has decided to grant you 2 spots in the original secret realm. After the rules were announced, the remaining geniuses all turned their attention to Uchiha Madara and the death god Boran. Although no one knew what the 4 secret realms entailed, there was no doubt that the 2 spots with the best benefits would go to Uchiha Madara and the death god Boran. Uchiha Madara crossed his arms. He had come specifically for this so-called secret realm. He had heard the Lord of the Kyanwu universe expound on its benefits countless times, which made even such a calm person as him feel a little excited. There are still strong and weak among the 1000 of you, and the resources you receive are certainly not the same. The final arena battle will begin tomorrow to determine the final ranking. The voice of the man in the sign robe and purple scales was ethereal and distant, echoing in everyone's mind. The rules of the final battle have been transmitted to each of you. Get some rest today. Boom. The man in the sign robe and purple scales vanished after his words. Only then did the 1008 powerful immortals begin to discuss the primordial secret realm they've actually accepted to this time. 2. What if they accepted too? Do the others have a chance? Well, that's true. While the great immortals discussed, the 1000 geniuses all looked down at the screens on their wrists, which had already received the rules of the decisive battle. Madara raised his brows slightly. The rules are as follows. 900 geniuses have just been selected from the 3 elimination rounds that just concluded. From these 900 finalists, the virtual universe system will select the top 100, based on their performance in the trial space and the 3 elimination rounds. These 100 will face off against the top 100 from the first trial space to secure a spot, a total of 200 people. The 100 winners will qualify to enter the Heaven and Earth secret realm. The remaining 900 will all enter the end of the world secret realm. From these 100 winners, the virtual universe system will select the top 20, who will then compete in one-on-one battles. The top 10 will then qualify to enter the primordial secret realm. From these top 10, the first and second place finishers will enter the original secret realm. A detailed match list is attached. Uchiha Madara smiled. This rule was quite simple. The virtual universe system would simply select 100 of the 900 participants and place them against the top 100. It seemed the virtual universe company had absolute trust in the virtual universe system, but that was understandable. This supposed virtual universe system could even mimic the understanding of the laws of a venerable, let alone assess strength. How could they do that? They won't even allow us to compete in the final? That's outrageous. This is putting too much trust in the virtual universe system. In the central square, the other peerless geniuses were furious. This final battle rule effectively excluded 800 of the 1000 participants, denying them even the chance to showcase their strength. Naturally, this irritated many of the geniuses present, leaving them feeling very unhappy. Virtual Universe Company. A shrill voice suddenly boomed. Suddenly, someone in the crowd, a young man, over 5 meters tall, lean and wiry, with a single vertical eye between his eyebrows, had a ferocious expression. All 3 eyes shone with madness. He screamed, "I'm 100% sure I'll make it into the top 100, maybe even the top 20. Why? Why are you excluding me simply based on the virtual universe system? I don't accept it. I don't accept it. It's not fair. It's not fair." Someone nearby shouted. "This is unfair. In a real fight, whoever loses will be eliminated. That's fair. Otherwise, we won't accept it." Suddenly, more than a dozen young people from various cosmic nations shouted. Aside from the frantic excitement of the 3-eyed young man, most of the other 800 were also dissatisfied. "Shut up. What are you doing? Everyone, shut up." Many of the 1008 powerful immortals in the distance roared in anger. Simultaneously, the terrifying pressure of their consciousness spread, directly pressing down on the 800 people. Each of these 800 young geniuses from various races turned pale, their bodies trembled slightly, and their legs shook. Finally, someone couldn't bear it anymore and fell to their knees. Then, Ha. One after another, unable to resist, they fell to their knees. 800 people knelt. Boom. 1008 powerful immortals appeared in front of the group of geniuses, looking down at the kneeling group. I don't accept it. I don't accept it. Among the kneeling crowd, the three-eyed young man braced himself on the ground with his arms, his tendons twisting and bulging like earthworms, and he raised his head and roared, "Idiot." Among the 1008 powerful immortals, the giant in the scaled armor robe glared at the three-eyed young man. At this moment, a magnificent and ethereal voice rang out. If you have objections to the rules of the decisive battle of the virtual universe system, you can choose not to join our virtual universe company. We will not force anyone to participate. The voice echoed throughout the sky and earth, causing the faces of the 800 geniuses lying on the ground to change. The 800 geniuses were in disbelief, and the three-eyed young man was equally incredulous. Yes, he was a true genius, the best in the universe nation he had come from. He had always been a favored child of heaven, held in high regard by even the universe lord, and his opinions were valued by many immortals. He felt that the rules were excessive, and his request should have been granted. However, the virtual universe company's response was, if you disagree, you can withdraw. No one is forcing you to join. It's that simple. Madara glanced at them casually, and then dismissed them. What a self-satisfied fool. Disappearing into the prison space beside the wheel tomb, Madara assumed his cultivation. Cultivation is like sailing against the current. If you don't advance, you retreat. How foolish. A powerful immortal with flowing black hair among the 1008 immortals said coldly, looking at the 800 kneeling people. The rules of the decisive battle decided by the top management of the virtual universe company. Do you think you little brats can change them? How presumptuous. If it were Uchiha Madara and the god of death, Bran, who made the suggestion, perhaps it would be taken seriously. They have long been recognized as members of the primordial secret realm. An old man with a head covered in silver scales and shrouded in a white robe looked at the three-eyed youth. As for you, at the outermost layer of the core, you dare to say you don't accept it? Little ones, remember this. You may be the top geniuses in your respective universes, but in the virtual universe company, the virtual universe company holds a competition for stellar level geniuses every 10,000 years, and also a competition for universe level masters. The virtual universe company is full of geniuses and masters. You'd better keep a low profile. Disobeying the decisions of the highest management is a big taboo. The 1008 immortals were well aware that these geniuses were indeed exceptionally gifted, but they often harbored arrogance and ill-tempered tendencies. The journey to the pinnacle was incredibly difficult, and persistent arrogance could easily lead to failure and destruction. Therefore, it was beneficial to severely challenge these geniuses. The next morning, 1000 peerless geniuses gathered in the central square. Your Excellency. The 1008 immortals saluted respectfully from afar. The man in the sign robe and purple scales, hovering in the air in the distance, nodded slightly. He then turned and looked down at the 1,000 young men, saying, today is a good day. Within one day, we will select the top 100, top 10, first and second place from among you, all within one day. Are you all ready? The showdown begins now. The man in the sign robe and purple scales looked down at the crowd and waved his hand. 100 massive arenas suddenly appeared in the central square, each covered by black mesh around the edges and tops. 200 young men and women, including the savage Rangjun and the phantom demon Galisi, were teleported into the arena. Each arena held 2 people. Madara folded his arms and looked at his enemy. The phantom demon Galisi was the illusionist who had made a public appearance at this genius competition. To this day, no one had been able to withstand his mental illusions. In every battle, the phantom demon Galisi defeated his opponents without even making a move, simply staring at them. He was considered one of the most undesirable opponents. But so what? The strongest illusionist? Haha, even though Uchiha Madara hadn't touched Jinjutsu in quite some time, compared to him, Genma Galisi's Jinjutsu was barely a fledgling. Hence Madara's expressionless face. Genma Galisi was completely different. He could have easily been in the top 10, but his first battle was against Uchiha Madara. Damn. Genma Galisi was a man of great refinement, but at this moment, he couldn't help but curse. This wasn't giving him any chance at all. With the devastating power Uchiha Madara displayed against the last Zerg hive, a flick of the finger could have ended his life. Phantom Demon Khaleesi is in such a plight. He was widely considered a top 10 contender, yet now he's up against this year's greatest genius, Uchiha Madara. Their strength is simply not on the same level. The resource disparity between the lowest and second tier secret realms is enormous. Phantom Demon Khaleesi is truly unlucky this time. The 800 geniuses already ranked outside the top 200 were initially filled with righteous indignation, but after seeing Phantom Demon Khaleesi's plight, each one felt their own plight pale in comparison. This little fellow from your universe kingdom is truly unlucky, the immortals remarked. Perhaps this is a good thing for Khaleesi, the immortal from Khaleesi's universe kingdom said with a wry smile. Indeed, not everyone gets the opportunity to face off against the greatest genius in human history. This time, Khaleesi can practically see the ceiling of the entire universe. Uchiha Madara, you're very strong, and I know I can't defeat you. I'll only use my strongest move, Genjutsu. Demonic Domain. Khaleesi finally made up his mind and charged at Uchiha Madara, his eyes fixed on him, his immense mental power assaulting him. This move, failure, or death. Madara's eyes transformed into blood-red Mangekyo Sharingan, and he locked eyes with the Phantom Demon Khaleesi. The next moment, Khaleesi's eyes also transformed into the shape of Mangekyo Sharingan, and he instantly collapsed to the ground. Madara stood with his hands behind his back, looking remarkably relaxed. To stare into the eyes of a member of the Uchiha clan, whether in the ninja world or in the universe, was a taboo that could not be violated. Chapter 220, Battle of Cosmic Geniuses, 10. What? Uchiha Madara's telekinesis is so formidable? Even the Phantom Demon, universally acknowledged as the most powerful among us in illusion, was defeated in a single blow by Uchiha Madara. What else can he possibly not do? Yes, we all call ourselves geniuses, but compared to Uchiha Madara, we are nothing. We are only proud of one aspect, but Uchiha Madara demonstrates overwhelming power in every aspect. To compete in the same universe of geniuses with such a peerless human genius, I don't know if this is our fortune or misfortune. Seeing Phantom Demon Khaleesi's instant defeat, the other geniuses who had already finished their battles couldn't help but chatter. Phantom Demon Khaleesi is truly pitiful. Big Brother Madara is the reincarnation of a venerable, and after almost 8 years, his soul must be incredibly powerful. To be defeated in a single blow is truly unjust. Luo Feng couldn't help but sigh for Phantom Demon Khaleesi. It was truly tragic. Death God Bolan clenched his fist even tighter. How could he be so powerful? Even I, the Phantom Demon Khaleesi, could only defeat him through my fastest spatial movement, yet Uchiha Madara directly deflected his illusion. Is this almighty being even human? The Nine Swords Reverend nodded from his perch, believing this was within his expectations. Uchiha Madara's profound understanding of the laws and physical power proved to be highly developed, implying his soul power and mental capacity could not be weak. Only then could his soul support such a powerful understanding of the laws and physical power. As for Phantom Demon Khaleesi's defeat, it might, within the short term of 100 years, widen the gap between him and the same level geniuses of the same universe genius tournament. However, as long as he could successfully navigate this 100 years, it was foreseeable that his achievements would visibly increase, as this would greatly refine his character. If they can't make it through successfully, Nine Swords Master's eyes remained calm. Human history was filled with geniuses like the Phantom Demon Khaleesi. Those who couldn't make it through successfully would simply vanish into the pages of history. Madara, on the other hand, remained calm, awaiting the next step in the virtual universe. At this moment, Luo Feng approached to chat. Brother Madara, long time no see, we meet again. Uchiha Madara turned to look at Luo Feng. It had indeed been a long time since they had spoken like this. After 3 years of training in the killing fields, and over 4 years of sparring with the Lord of the Qianwu universe, he and Luo Feng were technically no longer on the same level. So, Madara nodded. You're not bad. Coming from a small place like Earth to the center of the universe, not many people can do that, especially since you've only been training for so long. No matter what, I'm still far behind you, Brother Madara. If you meet me in a future match, you can test me. I'm really looking forward to fighting you. Sure, Uchiha Madara nodded. He also wanted to see how strong Luo Feng was at his peak, and how far he would lag behind that death god, Bolan. At this moment, the voice of the Nine Swords Master rang out. Congratulations to the young men standing on the stage. The Nine Swords Master stood in mid-air, overlooking the 100 young men and women on the stage. First of all, congratulations on making it into the top 100 and being able to enter the secret realm of heaven and earth of my virtual universe company. Now we have to select the best 20 of you. According to the selection of the virtual universe system, I will announce the list of 20 people. Suddenly, most of the 100 young geniuses who had just won the victory standing on the stage became nervous. Although they had won, only 20 of them would qualify for the next battle, and the next battle would be to select the top 10. Uchiha Madara, Bolan, Rangjun. Names were called out one by one, and those who didn't hear their names couldn't help but show anxiety on their faces. They were all winners, but only 20 people could participate in the next battle. Qianshu, Luo Feng. Luo Feng breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing his name. He hadn't displayed his full strength in his previous battle. Although many immortals considered him to be among the top 10, he was still a little nervous if the virtual universe was the standard. Boss, congratulations on making it into the top 100. What's there to congratulate? Even though I made it, I won't even get a chance to fight again. The others chatted. Meanwhile, 20 people quietly sat in a corner, resting and resting. Because soon, a more important battle was about to begin. The next battle would determine the top 10. With the exception of Uchiha Madara, the other 19 who made the 20-man list probably had no guarantee of defeating the others. Even the death god Bolan. If the death god Bolan and Uchiha Madara met, he would be 100% defeated. A moment later, the 20-man list was announced. Uchiha Madara vs Death God Bolan. Death God Bolan's heart trembled upon seeing the list, yet for some reason, he felt a sense of relief. Indeed, Uchiha Madara's existence was a personal chasm that Death God Bolan had to overcome, and now, encountering him early, it was a chance for him to break free from it. Death God Bolan stood up, took a deep breath, and gripped his sword, feeling as if a shackle had been loosened from his heart. The next moment, Death God Bolan opened his eyes and teleported, appearing on the ring. Uchiha Madara, although you are powerful in this battle, I, Death God Bolan, will not retreat. Death God Bolan raised his sword high and roared his oath. What? Teleport? Death God Bolan has suddenly mastered the next level of the spatial law, teleportation? Is this genius? If his opponent wasn't Uchiha Madara, I'm afraid all of us would be defeated here. Luo Feng wasn't happy either. The reason why Bolan was considered so pitiful was because his opponent was Uchiha Madara. But now this teleportation proves that the god of death, Bolan, is also not someone that anyone else can mess with. Chapter 221, Battle of Cosmic Geniuses, End. What is the concept of teleportation? If the understanding of the laws of space before the immortal level is divided into 4 levels, then these 4 levels are 9 phantom bodies, 100 phantom bodies, 10,000 phantom bodies, and teleportation. Reaching the level of teleportation is equivalent to stepping onto the threshold of the immortal level and understanding the laws of space, reaching the pinnacle of the Realm Lord level. And Death God Bolan, you must know, is currently only a small star level. If he was so powerful at the star level, once Death God Bolan reaches the Realm Lord level, his achievements are limitless. Haha, this little guy from your Noah universe nation can be said to have had a blessing in disguise. The immense pressure Uchiha Madara put on him has opened his mind considerably in the face of battle, and his understanding of the laws of space has directly reached a new level. This is truly a rare blessing. If Death God Bolan hadn't met Uchiha Madara in the top 20 today, but later on, he could still have secured a spot in the primordial secret realm. Bolan wouldn't have made such a desperate move then. But compared to understanding the laws of space, the primordial secret realm is nothing. With this level of understanding, when the battles between the secret realms begin, this little guy Bolan will definitely be able to reach the primordial secret realm. The immortals discussed this, their perspectives broadening considerably, realizing that today's event was indeed a good thing. Uchiha Madara stood up, and with a spatial shift, he also appeared on the stage. It seems you've made some progress, Madara said calmly, his mindset still above average, not crumbling before him. But that was all. Uchiha Madara, this is my full strength. The death god Boran didn't respond to Uchiha Madara, but roared directly at him. Thousands of phantoms appeared around the ring, each imbued with immense power. With these thousands of phantoms working together, 10,000 sword beams rushed towards Uchiha Madara from all directions, a force that could utterly annihilate the universe. With such a move, even an ordinary 9th level cosmic grade being unarmored would surely die. Since you wish to challenge me, I will show no mercy. I, Uchiha Madara, admire your courage. Although, the gap between you and me is truly vast. Madara grasped in the air, and the next moment, the tens of thousands of swords charging at Uchiha Madara stopped in midair. The scene was eerie, as if time had stood still, with not a single sword launched. Boran's eyes widened in disbelief. He had struck with all his might, and yet, not even a splash of water could be created. The law of time. Is this the power of the law of time that is even more terrifying than the law of space? However, no matter how unbelievable it is for Bolan, this must be the only fact. Madara clenched his fist in the void again, and the next moment, tens of thousands of long swords began to shatter inch by inch. The entire space was like a broken mirror, and at this moment, the god of death Bolan was helplessly sent out of the arena. The top 10 position, the god of death Bolan, is out. In this game, the first place is no longer a suspense, but the second place is a bit interesting. Of course, this has nothing to do with Uchiha Madara. In the end, in this cosmic genius battle, Madara won the first place with his undisputed strength. And the second place is a genius named Long Yun who masters both the law of earth and the law of space. In this arena, that will continue to shrink, Long Yun really has too much advantage. First and second, third to 10th. 11th to 100th, 101st to 1000th. All 4 levels have been selected. This year's selection competition for the universe's top human geniuses has concluded successfully. The man in the cyan robe and purple scales smiled. Your class is an exceptional one. I believe that in dozens or hundreds of epochs, many of you will become renowned throughout the universe. Someone will contact you shortly to take you to my virtual universe company's headquarters. You'll gather there, and then travel to the initial universe. From now on, your path will be no ordinary one. My virtual universe company will fully support you. Whether you become a super being renowned throughout the universe, become an ordinary powerhouse, or perish along the way, it all depends on you. Work hard. Your journey to greatness has just begun. The voice of the man in the cyan robe and purple scales echoed in everyone's mind. This year's talent competition officially concluded. With the conclusion of the talent competition, everyone, from the almighty 9 swords master to the 1008 powerful immortals, departed. Madara and the other 1000 young people remained lingering as a nearby staff member called out, "Please hold on for now. We have some matters to discuss regarding our virtual universe company's headquarters." A moment later, Madara and the other 1000 sat down in the second floor conference room of restaurant number 2 in the central plaza. Let me introduce myself. My name is Mana, a smiling man, about 2 meters 67 inches tall, and with markings on his neck, said from the front of the conference room. My virtual universe company will be arranging spaceships to pick you up, so please write down the exact planetary addresses on the paper in front of you, so we can pick you up. Uchiha Madara also picked up a pen and paper and began writing. Kyanwu Universe, Black Dragon Mountain Star Region, Milky Way Galaxy, Killing Star. The 1000 young people from various universes were writing. Is it necessary? Just tell us the meeting point and we can take the spaceship there ourselves, right? Yes, there's no need for a pickup. It's too much trouble, someone in the crowd shouted. Mana on the stage smiled and said, because the journey passes through many cosmic countries, it is very far away, and many civilian spacecraft are slow in the dark universe, it will take a very long time to reach our company's global headquarters. To save everyone's time, naturally, our virtual universe company has specially arranged the best spacecraft to pick you up. Of the 1000 people here this time, the one farthest away from our virtual universe company's global headquarters is about 1.5 billion light years away. Mana smiled and said, the distance ratio between the dark universe and the original universe is 1:10.081 million. Even if traveling at 1 times the speed of light in the dark universe, it will take about 150 years to arrive. Silence. The originally bustling conference room suddenly became quiet. Chapter 222 before leaving. 150 years. Oh my god. 150 years. Exclaimed a young orc sitting in the corner, his head resembling a lion's. The farthest I've ever been on a spaceship was just over 2 months. 150 years. The universe is truly vast. Back then, just traveling from Earth to Kyanglang Star, and that was just a space shuttle within the Black Dragon Mountain starfield, took 10 days and a half. And that's just the starfield. Beyond the starfield, there are even larger star regions, and each cosmic nation's star region is incredibly vast. The farthest cosmic nation from that headquarters is a whopping 1.5 billion light years away, and that's not an exaggeration. If you all want to take your own spaceships. 1. It's slow and takes too long. 2. For extremely long journeys, the energy consumed by the spacecraft is staggering. 3. And most importantly, flying in dark space is unsafe in certain areas. There are space pirates and even raids by other races. Everyone, safety is paramount. Mana smiled from the stage. Current civilian spaceships, even the best ones, can only reach speed several times the speed of light in the dark space. Ultra long distance travel will still take a very long time. Uchiha nodded. If the original universe reaches the speed of light, according to the laws of its operation, it will be directly transported to the dark universe. There is a lower speed limit in the dark universe, but no upper limit. As long as your spaceship can withstand it, you can constantly strive for the highest speed. 1x the speed of light. 2x. 3x. If your spaceship is good enough, you can reach that speed in the dark universe. Beep. Collection complete. Rays of colorful light fell on the paper in front of each person, and then a screen appeared at the front of the conference room. On the screen was a huge star-level map, flanked by complex numerical symbols. Mana took a look, and turned to the 1,000 people in the audience, smiling. Everyone, your addresses have been recorded. Based on your different locations and our spaceship resources, we've calculated the optimal transportation plan. How long will it take? How long will it take us to reach the company's global headquarters? Several people in the audience couldn't help but ask. 150 years. 100 years. Either way, it was too long. Because the distances vary, the spaceships will have to travel at different speeds. We can guarantee that you'll all arrive at headquarters on the same day, Mana said with a smile. It will take about 3 years. 3 years. So short? How is that possible? What speed would the spaceship have to reach to travel 1.5 billion light years in 3 years? Uchiha Madara raised an eyebrow, also somewhat surprised by the time. Although he often sparred with the Lord of the Kyanwu universe, he usually stayed indoors, completely focused on cultivation, so he was somewhat surprised. 3 years of dark space travel, advancing 1.5 billion light years, meant reaching 50 times the speed of light in the dark universe. That was an incredible number. C-class ships typically had a speed of just over 1 times, and even E-class ships only had speeds of several times that. My virtual universe company will assign you all F-class spaceships, Mana said with a smile from the stage. And these aren't just any F-class ships you can easily buy, but special F-class ships within my virtual universe company, with technology far superior to those of any other F-class ship in the universe. Silence. Silence. Dumbfounded. F-class ships. The fact that many immortals can't afford them shows just how expensive and precious they are. Many star-level empires, like the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, don't have a single F-class spaceship in their entire empire. While universe nations generally have some, the vast majority of F-class spaceships can't reach a maximum speed of 50 times the speed of light in the dark universe. Pervert. Prince Wuka of Manka stared at Mana on the stage and whispered through gritted teeth. Perverted. They actually dispatched 1,000 F-class spaceships in one go, and with such astonishing technological content. My father said long ago that virtual universe's technological sophistication is a technological mecca for humanity, but this is too perverted. Among human races, virtual universe is number 1 in technology. Even among the countless races in the vast universe, only a handful can rival virtual universe in technology. Perhaps only a few perverted races like the Mechanic Clan. Mr. Mana, can we buy these F-class spaceships? Someone shouted. Yes, can we? His Royal Highness, the Prince of Manka, shouted. This is an internal item of my virtual universe company. You, as core members of my virtual universe company, are of course free to purchase it. However, you may only use it yourself, and not resell it. If you wish to sell it, you must sell it back to my virtual universe company, Mana said with a smile. However, F-class spaceships are too expensive. Many immortal beings can't afford them. Don't worry, everyone. Practice diligently. Once you become a superpower of my virtual universe company, the company may even provide you with an F-class spaceship for free. The group of young people in the audience immediately curled their lips. Superpower. Equipped with an F-class spaceship? To even be able to get one for free, what level of strength would one have to possess? It was indeed far beyond the reach of these mere stellar level beings before them. Just to inform everyone, Mana said with a smile from the stage. The prize money for the top 1000 in the Genius contest is being distributed now. You can check your accounts later when you return. For now, everyone can go home. Our virtual universe company will send a special letter with the exact pickup time. Please be ready at the location you wrote down, so we don't lose you. Mana then smiled. Then everyone, spend time with your family and friends. Soon, you'll have to leave your hometown for a long time. The bustling conference room suddenly quieted down. Yes, you'll have to leave your hometown for a long time. This time, the journey to the virtual universe company's global headquarters alone will take 3 years, and that's even if the virtual universe company sends a precious F-class spaceship to pick you up. It must be said that in the vastness of the universe, the travel time alone is astonishing. Figures disappeared from the conference room one after another, and everyone left one by one. Madara also left the conference room. Although he didn't have many friends in this world so far, he did have one, the Lord of the Kyanwu universe. After leaving the virtual universe, he had just reappeared in the real world. A black space crack appeared in front of Uchiha Madara, and the Lord of the Kyanwu universe, dressed in a solemn manner and full set of armor, walked out of the black space crack. Then, Uchiha Madara heard the Lord of the Kyanwu universe's voice. First place in the Universe Genius competition. Congratulations. Chapter 223 The spaceship arrives. It's just first place in the Universe Genius tournament. Which of you Universe Lords didn't come first when you participated in the Universe Genius tournament? Uchiha Madara waved his hand. Of course there are. That little fellow named Bolan you're fighting, I feel he has a chance of becoming a Universe Supreme in the future, and you've beaten him like a sore thumb, the Kyanwu Universe Lord quipped. Bolan, that little fellow, is in a very bad state. Uchiha Madara snorted without responding, glancing at the Kyanwu Universe Lord. Why are you wearing a full set of combat uniform today? Are you looking to practice some more? This is the real world. I don't have your high level of basic qualities. The Kyanwu Universe Lord twisted his hands and smiled maliciously. Madara, I know that with your talent, when you go to the virtual universe company, you will most likely be crowned an immortal king, or a universe venerable, when you come back. After all, the great realms won't hinder you at all, and when you improve to small realms, the virtual universe company will prepare resources specifically for you core members. So, this may very well be the last moment, when I'm stronger than you. I've been beaten by you so many times in the virtual universe, I'm going to get even this time. Want to get even? That's right. The Lord of the Kyanwu universe said very firmly. The next moment, a Realm Master level attack suddenly attacked Uchiha Madara, and at this moment, 9 pitch black truth-seeking jades behind Uchiha Madara rose in the sky, and then suddenly collided with the attack from the Lord of the Kyanwu universe. The Kyanwu Universe Lord saw Uchiha Madara's truth-seeking ornament for the first time, and was slightly surprised. He hadn't expected that after all these years, Uchiha Madara still had a trump card. But no matter how surprised he was, Uchiha Madara's realm was still only a small stellar level. Even with his venerable level understanding of the laws, spatial power, and telekinesis, he was only comparable to an ordinary realm lord. However, the reality was not as simple as the Kyanwu Universe Lord imagined. The moment Uchiha Madara's truth-seeking ornament met Kyanwu Universe Lord's attack, it completely collapsed and rushed straight towards him. Uchiha Madara smiled slightly. Yes, His realm was only at the stellar level, but his chakra power was gradually returning. When he first arrived in this world, Uchiha Madara estimated that it would take him about 10 years to fully recover his full strength. Now, 8 years had passed, and his power had reached the immortal level. Uchiha Madara even considered that at his peak, his power might have been enough to achieve the status of a king immortal. Furthermore, this was before he mastered the physical power, telekinesis, and laws of this world. Having mastered the physical power, telekinesis, and laws of a venerable, Madara could naturally add these powers to his own chakra. If he were to use his full strength, Uchiha Madara would likely be no less powerful than a king immortal. Holy crap. What the hell is that? You fused your physical and mental strength to form a brand new power, and you've actually managed to combine both physical and telekinetic amplification. Your realm hasn't changed at all, but your power has far surpassed your current level. It seems even an immortal level being would have a hard time defeating you. The Lord of the Qianwu universe felt 1,000 horses galloping through his mind. He had originally considered escorting Uchiha Madara to the Virtual Universe Company's headquarters, considering his relative weakness. After all, as the greatest genius since the dawn of humanity, Uchiha Madara would undoubtedly face countless assassinations from other races. But who could have imagined that Uchiha Madara had already reached immortal level power? Furthermore, having clashed with Uchiha Madara before, the Lord of the Qianwu universe knew he held a formidable advantage. Unless a venerable level expert planted by a foreign race in the human race arrived in person, Uchiha Madara would likely remain unscathed. No more fighting. Save yourself for the aliens. Honestly, the Lord of the Qianwu universe was still a little frustrated. He'd originally planned to teach Uchiha Madara a lesson with the power of a realm lord, but he'd discovered that Uchiha Madara had developed a completely new power system, one that he'd apparently been developing for a long time. The Lord of the Qianwu universe conservatively estimated that, if he didn't utilize the power of a king immortal or even higher, he'd most likely be unable to defeat Uchiha Madara. And if he did utilize the power of a king immortal or even a venerable, the people at the Virtual Universe Company would likely discover it the moment he used it. Those who knew would understand he was sparring with Uchiha Madara, but those who didn't would likely mistake him for a spy sent by an alien race. Take care on your journey, the Lord of the Qianwu universe said. Okay, the spotted head replied. Uchiha Madara turned to gaze into the distance. An ancient pitch black sword, resembling a pristine spaceship, slowly descended from the sky. Madara boarded the ship without looking back. This was a warsword shaped spaceship, approximately 600 meters long, 100 meters wide, and nearly 100 meters thick. Its hue was pitch black, and even the mere sight of it gave it a faint ancient air, as if it had existed for ages. A chill wind blew, drifting snow. Amidst the falling snow, Uchiha Madara approached the ancient vessel. This was an F-class ship forged by the Qian Stone Mother. Uchiha Madara nodded and looked ahead. A group of men flew out of the forward hatch, led by a lean hook-nosed elderly man wearing a black battle suit who looked almost identical to an earthling. He had short sharp hair, a smile on his face, and a mark of ice between his brows. His subtle sense of control over the universe made Madara realize that he was a realm lord recognized by the fundamental laws of the universe. Shadwu, I greet your highness. The lean old man bowed slightly. Greetings, your highness. Behind him, a group of domain lords and universe class beings bowed respectfully to Madara. Yes. Uchiha Madara nodded. The thin old man smiled and said, Your highness, let's get on the spaceship first. It will take 3 years to get to the company's universal headquarters from here. We can't waste time. Okay. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224 Chapter 37-38 Virtual Universe Headquarters. Madara, respectfully escorted by a group of people, flew into the F-class spaceship. The interior of the spaceship was vast. The main compartment, the power module, was located at the guard of the entire warsword spaceship, and other compartments almost covered the entire lower deck. Madara was currently in a spacious and luxurious hall on the upper deck, 300 meters long and 60 meters wide. Comfortable sofas, mellow wine, and rare spiritual fruits were already laid out, and beautiful maids stood at the back, waiting for orders. Your Highness, please sit down, the slender old man said with a smile. Then Uchiha Madara and the slender old man sat down opposite each other. This place is quite nice. Uchiha Madara glanced around. This F-class spaceship is made entirely of Giant Stone Mother. It's a treasure. Your Highness has excellent taste. The lean old man's smile widened. It's made of F6 grade metallic Giant Stone Mother. The sharp edges of the spacecraft are reinforced and integrated into the laws of the origin, making it incredibly sharp. If it were to accelerate, it could penetrate a planet completely piercing it without significantly affecting its speed. Your Highness, why do you call me Your Highness? Uchiha Madara asked directly. Your Highness seems to have a lot of questions. The lean old man smiled. Let me introduce myself. I, Xiao Wu, am a realm master within the apocalyptic secret realm, the core layer of the virtual universe company. Uchiha Madara nodded slightly. Apocalyptic secret realm, the end of the 4 secret realms. Actually, the names of the 4 secret realms are quite self-explanatory. Imagine the evolution of a world. First, a primordial, unified whole, the origin, then gradually forming into the primordial, and finally forming the vast universe, the heaven and earth. When it declines and annihilates, it naturally becomes the end of the world. Origin, primordial, heaven and earth, end of the world. It feels like the evolution of the world. Our virtual universe company has very few core members. The lean old man smiled. We normally recruit them through 3 channels, genius and powerful competitions, which select the most elite talents in the entire universe. Second, we cultivate outstanding elites within the virtual universe company itself. Third, we recruit a small number of realm masters. Because ordinary realm masters have no hope of achieving immortality, and some aren't even recognized by the origin laws. How could the company value them, and how could it possibly recruit them? We simply don't need too many realm masters within our company. Indeed, the Kyanwu universe country already has millions of realm masters. What about the virtual universe company, one of the 5 giants? Is it 100 times that of the universe country? Or even more? Only the truly elite, the truly powerful, can become core members. The lean old man smiled. As for addressing them as Your Highness, of the 4 core secret realms, the Apocalypse secret realm is the outermost. Core members of the Apocalypse secret realm, when meeting members of the 3 preceding secret realms, if they are below the immortal level, must address them as Your Highness. And Your Highness, you've entered the original secret realm, where your status is much higher, the lean old man said with a smile. Also, those ordinary subordinates who aren't core members, when meeting core members below the immortal level, must address them as Your Highness. Oh, Uchiha Madara nodded slightly. Your Highness? In the universe, this is generally a title of respect bestowed upon princes and the like. Clearly, the core members of the virtual universe company, those below the immortal, are like princes, held in high esteem, hoping to become supremely powerful. In terms of status, they are far superior to the princes of the cosmic kingdoms, many of whom have no hope of ever inheriting the throne. Your Highness, let's enter the virtual universe together, the lean old man said with a smile. I'll take you to the virtual headquarters of my virtual universe company. Oh. Uchiha Madara raised an eyebrow. He truly wanted to see the headquarters of the virtual universe company. After all, it was the headquarters of one of the 5 superpowers of the human race, the pinnacle of the universe. It was undoubtedly magnificent. It was undoubtedly more impressive than anything else. The spaceship had already traveled into the dark universe, its speed steadily increasing, reaching nearly 20 times the speed of light, and then continued to advance at this constant speed within the dark universe. His consciousness entered the virtual universe network. Now that Madara was a core member, his virtual assistant automatically acquired a function that allowed him to teleport directly to a special dimension within the virtual universe upon entering it. Teleport. Whoosh. Madara's figure instantly vanished from the spot. The virtual headquarters dimension. This was a suspended mountain shrouded in mist, an immensely massive peak, even larger than an ordinary planet in reality. A figure suddenly appeared on one of the bluestone paths atop the mountain. It was Uchiha Madara. HMM. Uchiha Madara looked around. There were many people in the distance on this street, and there were also buildings in the distance. In the distance on the left, there were even beautiful villas. A figure ran towards them from the distance on the street. It was Xiao Wu. Your Highness, the thin old man said with a smile. This entire plane of space is the virtual headquarters of our virtual universe company. In fact, compared to the real headquarters, the virtual headquarters is actually more lively. This is because many important people can't stay in the real headquarters all the time. HMM. Uchiha Madara nodded. Come. The thin old man took Uchiha Madara to explore. This mountain suspended in the clouds is called Rain Phase Mountain. The diameter of Rain Phase Mountain is about 89,000 kilometers. Uchiha Madara raised an eyebrow. This diameter could be said to be very large. The diameter of the earth he originally lived on was only a little over 10,000 kilometers. The diameter of this mountain was nearly 7 times that of the earth. Of course it has to be bigger, otherwise many training grounds won't be enough. The lean old man smiled and said, the entire Yuxiang mountain is divided into 5 districts. They are the original district, the Taichu district, the heavenly district, the apocalypse district and the public district. The areas of these 5 districts are about the same size. The population of the original district does not exceed 120 people. The Taichu district has about 1,000 people. The heavenly district has about 10,000 people. And the apocalypse district has tens of millions of people. The lean old man said, as for the public district, it is for commerce, entertainment, etc. People from all 4 districts can enter the public district. By the way, Your Highness, members of each district, the original district, the Taichu district, the heavenly district, and the apocalypse district, cannot enter other districts. Uchiha Madara nodded slightly and said, you said, the 5 districts are about the same size. The original district has less than 120 people, but the apocalypse district has tens of millions of people. This is status. The lean old man sighed. The elites selected from headquarters to join the core team all go to the Doomsday Zone. Some of the outstanding realm masters recruited also go to the Doomsday Zone. The vast majority of previous genius and powerful competitions have also taken place in the Doomsday Zone. That's why the Doomsday Zone has the largest population. Housing in the Doomsday Zone is in high-rise buildings, with each person allocated an apartment. In the heavenly region, everyone gets a villa. In the primordial region, you get your own dedicated training grounds, study areas, and so on. It's quite luxurious. In the primordial region, with no more than 120 people, they've built a luxurious manor covering a diameter of over 1,000 kilometers. The manor is equipped with various training facilities, has a dedicated immortal master living there permanently, is staffed by a large number of servants, and can hire numerous sparring partners at any time. The lean old man's eyes were filled with envy. The difference in benefits was truly enormous. The Doomsday region lived in tube-shaped buildings, the heavenly region had villas, the primordial region was a manor, and the primordial region even built a manor spanning over 1,000 kilometers in diameter for just one person. There are no more than 120 people in the primitive zone, and no more than 100 realm masters within it. Each of these realm masters is considered truly invincible within the realm master realm. The lean old man smiled. They are all truly elite members of our company, so it's no surprise they receive such treatment. As the lean old man spoke, Madara listened. He began to understand that Rain Mountain was the base for the core members of the virtual universe who hadn't reached the immortal level. Standing on a steep rocky outcrop, the lean old man pointed to a vast island shrouded in mist in the distance, surrounded by a shroud of electric snakes. Look, that's Thunder Island, also known as Immortal Island. It's hundreds and thousands of times larger than Rain Mountain. All the immortals of the virtual universe company generally reside there. If Rain Mountain is the gathering place for the core members below the immortal and a place for talent cultivation, then Thunder Island is the gathering place for the truly powerful, the gathering place for the immortals. Upon hearing this, Madara's eyes lit up. Thunder Island? He would definitely visit it, if he had the chance. Your Highness, I'll take you to the primordial zone. Of course, I can only take you outside the primordial zone. Okay. Uchiha Madara walked through the public area, observing the realm masters everywhere. Hundreds of realm masters could be seen at a glance, and 99% of them were recognized by the origin laws, bearing various origin law symbols between their brows. Within giants like the Virtual Universe Company, realm masters barely qualified to enter the secret realm of the apocalypse. Perhaps hundreds of millions of realm masters couldn't even reach the core level. No wonder, then, that one of the 3 major awards for the top 1000 in the Genius Battle Universe rankings was becoming a core member. After a while, they arrived at a wide, quiet bluestone path. Beside it lay a flower bed, where various flowers and plants formed the characters in the universal language of the universe primordial zone. Beep. A faint halo flashed across the lean old man's body, and he could no longer move forward. He shouted, "Your Highness, I can't go any further. Following this road, the area ahead is the primordial zone. Once you enter, a manager will guide you." "Okay." Uchiha Madara continued along the beautiful quiet bluestone path, his pace quickening slightly as he breathed in the scent of grass and flowers. Half a minute later, he was over 10 kilometers away, at the entrance to the immensely large and luxurious Teichu district. Numerous servants stood at the entrance. Upon seeing Madara approach, one of their leaders immediately came forward to greet him. "Your Highness, Madara, I've been waiting for you." The beautiful woman with a foxtail and a flame mark between her brows spoke enthusiastically. "You can just call me Das. I manage all the minutiae of the Teichu district." "Understood." Uchiha Madara nodded. In reality, as a virtual universe, tasks like cleaning and gardening can be simulated instantly. However, perhaps to maintain a sense of realism, everything here is 100% simulated, even staffed with numerous servants dedicated to cleaning, gardening, and serving the princes. Hungry requires food, thirsty requires water, and even buying property in the virtual universe requires money. Everything is exactly like the real world. Because it's so realistic, many wealthy individuals, those with the support of their ancestors, or those without any financial risk, spend most of their time in the virtual universe, or in virtual games, doing whatever they please. Many of them have long since mistaken the virtual world for reality. However, only a very few can enjoy such a life of luxury and debauchery. After all, everything in the virtual universe costs money. Even maintaining an internet connection requires internet fees. Without the support of ancestors and money, this life of luxury and debauchery is simply impossible. "Your Highness, please follow me," said the World Master, Lady Das, smiling as she led the way. Whoosh, whoosh. The two of them took off into the Teichu district. As one of the 5 major districts, the Teichu district was enormous, occupying 1/5 of the entire Yuxiang mountain. It was arguably larger than the entire Earth. Yet, this small area housed just over 1,000 members. Teichu district, 1,138 official members. Flying in the air, Mrs. Foss pointed downwards. The Teichu district has many training grounds, reading spaces, restaurants, and so on. As for the residential areas, they're all at the back. There are 1,138 manors, each measuring 1,000 kilometers long and 300 kilometers wide. Uchiha Madara nodded. "Not a bad place to stay. Your Highness's manor is number 109. Mrs. Das pointed to a tranquil manor in the distance. It looked very quaint, its walls entwined with a variety of plants and flowers. Whoosh, whoosh. The two landed. "Your Highness." The manor's gate was 100 meters wide, and 2 6-meter tall bull-headed giants saluted respectfully. "Your Highness Madara." Mrs. Foss smiled and said, "As a member of the original secret realm, Your Highness's guard is normally organized into a battalion. The entire battalion has 1 general, 10 captains, and 100 soldiers. The general is an immortal from the Apocalypse secret realm, the captains are 10 realm masters, and the soldiers are 100 domain master level warriors. In the virtual universe, they are stationed here with Your Highness, and in reality, they also have to protect Your Highness, and they will obey Your Highness's orders and everything." Uchiha Madara nodded slightly. This kind of velvet is indeed very strong. However, according to the information obtained before, the guards of the members of the primordial secret realm are far inferior to those of the original secret realm. The leader of the guards of the members of the original secret realm is an immortal. In addition to the guards, there are more than 100 servants in the manor to serve Your Highness. Mrs. Das smiled and said. At that moment, a gust of wind blew past, and a group suddenly appeared at the manor's gate. Leading them was a bald, earth-like old man. Upon seeing Uchiha Madara, the bald man saluted, "Your Highness." The crowd behind him saluted respectfully, shouting, "Greetings, Your Highness. This is the General of Your Highness's Guard. His full name is Adoric Wenshinglesuo," Madame Das said with a smile. "Your Highness, just call me Odo," the bald man said. "Very well, Odo," Uchiha Madara said politely. "That's as I should," Adoric said, feeling relieved. According to the Virtual Universe Company's arrangement, his status was lower than Madara's, but he was, after all, a realm lord recognized by the origin laws. The prince before him was, no matter what, a genius, not a powerful being. He might not even reach the level of realm lord until his death. Madame Das said, "Your Highness, Madara, I'll be leaving now. Odo knows everything about this manor very well, and he'll tell you." "Thank you, Madame Das," the spotted head said. Madame Das then transformed into a streak of light and vanished into the distance. "Your Highness, please." Adoric led the way, and Bang followed, entering his manor. Chapter 225 Chapter 39 to 43 years later. At first glance, the manor was covered in green grass, a natural beauty. "That's His Highness's training ground," Adoric said, pointing to a massive, sealed structure in the distance. The entire training ground is 50 kilometers long, 30 kilometers wide, and 300 meters high. The ground inside is incredibly solid. Uchiha Madara nodded. Unburdened by his own weight, he could move at incredible speeds, but a space too small wouldn't allow him to maneuver. 50 kilometers long, 30 kilometers wide, and 300 meters high was just fine for him. Perfect. Of course, such a large space would be enormous for the average warrior. "That's the swimming pool," Adoric pointed to another enormous pool in the distance. "It's divided into an inner and outer area. The water in the inner area has a special effect, allowing you to quickly recover from fatigue. It's divided into 6 zones, each divided by temperature. This setup simulates reality. In the real primitive secret realm, His Highness's residence is far superior." "Oh." Uchiha Madara's eyes lit up slightly. He had never experienced water with this quality before. However, his cosmic journey would take a full 3 years. After 3 years, he would reach the primordial universe. Only after exiting the primordial universe would he perhaps journey to the 4 secret realms. Odo explained the functions of some of the buildings within the manor, then pointed to a quiet 3-story building in the distance. "Your Highness, that is your living quarters. You can customize the interior of that building to your liking using your virtual assistant." Within the manor, the first floor of this residential villa served as a reception area, the second floor was for entertainment, and the third floor housed bedrooms and an internet display. Uchiha Madara's mind shifted, and the entire house transformed into the style of the Uchiha clan of the ninja realm. A large crest of the house adorned the roof. Uchiha Madara nodded, then smiled and sat down in a chair. He flipped open the laptop screen in front of him, turned it on, and casually clicked on a folder labeled Treasure House. Ding. The treasury opened, and the screen immediately displayed 8 broad categories: arcane, weapons, rare treasures, technological weapons, materials, tools, biological, and other special. Under each category floated numerous subcategories. For example, under biological, there were plant life, metal life, beast taming, and so on. Arcane was even divided into different factions. There were countless categories. Madara first clicked on the Secret Realm Treasures section of the Rare Treasures category. Immediately, a dense web of text and images appeared. 1 Wanling Purple Blood Juice for 120,000 points, 70% off in the Primordial Secret Realm, 20% off in the Primordial Secret Realm, 10% off in the Heaven and Earth Secret Realm, full price in the End of the World Secret Realm, 1 Seven-Colored Eye Fruit for 100,000 points, 70% off in the Primordial Secret Realm, 20% off in the Primordial Secret Realm, 10% off in the Heaven and Earth Secret Realm, full price in the End of the World Secret Realm, 1 Crypt Crystal for 200,000 points, 70% off in the Primordial Secret Realm, 20% off in the Primordial Secret Realm, 10% off in the Heaven and Earth Secret Realm, full price in the End of the World Secret Realm. Uchiha Madara couldn't help but smile. Having spent so much time with the Lord of the Kyanwu universe, he had a certain understanding of these treasures. The treasures listed here were limited, even for someone like the Lord of the Kyanwu universe. Each one would fetch exorbitant prices at auction. They were all available here, and could be redeemed with just points. Then, Uchiha Madara opened the Soul Secret Technique category within the Secret Technique category, looking at 7 starlights, Eternal Immortality, Tower of the Void, the Dous Codex. Each of these cosmically renowned secrets appeared on the list like common goods. At a glance, there were at least tens of thousands of them, and this was just the first page. Uchiha Madara smiled again. These secrets, like the treasures just mentioned, were priceless in the universe. Uchiha Madara opened up subcategories, encompassing everything, leaving nothing to be desired. The list of the virtual universe company's treasures was enough to amaze even Uchiha Madara. It could be said that even the entire treasury of the Lord of the Kyanwu universe wouldn't even compare to a fraction of what's in the virtual universe company. One set of secrets could bring about the downfall of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. One treasure could drive thousands of immortals crazy. As the saying goes, the early bird catches the worm, but if the clever bird takes off first, the slow bird will naturally be unable to catch up, no matter how hard it tries. It's the same principle. If you surpass the competition at the starting line and continue to lead, you'll naturally reach the top. Someone entering the core layers of this virtual universe company at the stellar level is, arguably, a significant step ahead of everyone else at the starting line. Suddenly, the mailbox on the screen flickered slightly, indicating a new email. I clicked on it. An email had already been received. Uchiha Madara, congratulations on becoming an official member of the Primordial Secret Realm. The Virtual Universe Company's training program for the younger generation begins at the universe level, so your first priority is to reach the universe level. Don't worry about this. Once you've cultivated beyond the initial universe, I believe you'll definitely reach the universe level. Your current points have been awarded 10,000 by the Virtual Universe Company. You can use these 10,000 points to purchase any item from the treasure vault, as long as you have enough points. I recommend purchasing the secret techniques you need. The 3 years of your journey are ideal for cultivating secret techniques. Also, a reminder, there's no need to waste time cultivating energy or telekinesis. From the 1st to the 9th level of the stellar level, this is a quantitative accumulation. From the 9th level of the stellar level to the 1st level of the cosmic level, this is a genetic leap in life. From the 1st to the 9th level of the cosmic level, from the 1st to the 9th level of the Domain Lord, and from the 1st to the 9th level of the Realm Lord, these are all quantitative accumulations. Breakthroughs at the planetary, stellar, cosmic, Domain Lord, and Realm Lord levels are all qualitative leaps in life genes. The company can expend invaluable resources to enhance the physical strength of each core member, boosting their energy and telekinesis, enabling them to ascend from level 1 to level 9 in a short period of time, bringing their bodies to full capacity. As for the life gene leap, achieving a qualitative breakthrough, each core member must strive for it. The company will not let core members waste time accumulating energy. All core members should conserve their time to improve their combat effectiveness, comprehend the fundamental laws, and learn the secret techniques. Virtual Universe Company. The email wasn't long, and Uchiha Madara read it quickly. From level 1 to level 9, the Virtual Universe Company will provide all resources for physical enhancement. The rumor was indeed true, but only the Virtual Universe Company could afford such a lavish outlay. It's common knowledge in the universe that the strong diligently cultivate and absorb energy. However, the universe is filled with countless treasures, such as the life fruit, which can instantly and continuously enable powerful plant life to reach the second level of the universe. Humans cannot withstand such intense treasures, yet the Virtual Universe Company, a leading giant in the entire universe, provides physical enhancements to every core member. Once you reach the first level of the universe, the company will help you strengthen to the 9th level. If you break through to the first level of Domain Lord, Realm Lord, the company will help you directly reach the 9th level of Domain Lord, Realm Lord. You don't need to waste time meditating to absorb cosmic energy. There's no need. This is truly extraordinary wealth. The previous levels of Star, Universe, and Domain Lord are fine, but once you reach the Realm Lord level, the cosmic energy required from the 1st to the 9th level is astronomical. Only the Virtual Universe Company has such financial resources. However, Uchiha Madara closed his eyes. The virtual universe company simply provides favorable conditions and an optimal environment. As for your achievements, it's up to you. The universe is mysterious and unpredictable, and there are countless adventures. But every 10 million years, how many superpowers rise in the universe? A new generation of geniuses appears every 10,000 years. For billions of years, vast numbers of geniuses have been cultivated, and then countless others have fallen. As long as a few superpowers emerge, that's success. For Madara, there's no doubt that this is still a long way to go. In reality, based on the probabilities of past universe genius tournaments, even if these 1,000 people spent their entire lives, no more than 10 would ultimately achieve immortality. Uchiha Madara selected several time-related mysteries and began cultivating them. After 3 years, he would possess the chakra power of a king-level immortal. However, Uchiha Madara, always demanding of himself, would not slack off during these 3 years. He had already mastered many nascent laws, and if possible, he hoped to have all of them reach the immortal level within 3 years. Time flew by, month after month. The F-class spaceship forged from the Giant Stone Mother continued its journey towards the Virtual Universe Corporation's universal headquarters, located at the very center of the human territories. Uchiha Madara naturally spent his days aboard the spaceship, his consciousness immersing itself in the virtual universe like a sponge, desperately absorbing every drop of water. And within his inner space, the golden continent's length and width had already reached 9,000 kilometers. Apparently, during the lengthy battle with Uchiha Madara, the golden horned behemoth had already evolved to the 9th level of the universe. To reach the 1st level of Domain Lord from the 9th level normally takes 500 years, and even with a 56-fold increase in metal composition, it would still take about 9 years. Sensing the rich fluctuations of the golden origin lore as its inner world expanded, the golden horned behemoth listened intently, observed, and absorbed the essence, taming the golden origin lore. Meanwhile, in the virtual universe, Uchiha Madara was also engaged in a battle within the simulated space. A figure in a white robe was surrounded by dozens of others in other robes. These figures possessed a unique understanding of the laws of the Immortal King, and each one possessed a unique understanding, making them impossible for ordinary humans to counter. Uchiha Madara formed hand seals, and dozens of similar shadow clones charged forward. 10 minutes later, all of these opponents, masters of the Immortal King's law, were laid to the ground. 3 years later, he had mastered hundreds of cosmic laws, all reaching the level of an ordinary immortal. If he could harness the power of his body, he could easily defeat a king immortal. In the hull of the spaceship, a white-robed figure, wearing a perfectly fitted combat suit and boots, stood. Beside him, a lean silver-haired elder said respectfully, "Your Highness, we will soon arrive at the company's universal headquarters." Yes, Madara nodded. He had made considerable progress over the past 3 years, and I imagine the other geniuses participating in the battle of cosmic geniuses would also have made considerable progress. However, I wonder how their progress compared to his. Begin cosmic travel, entering the original universe. 10.9, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1. Uchiha Madara felt the entire spaceship tremble slightly. After 10 seconds, everything returned to normal. He shouted, "Exterior simulation 100%. Suddenly, the entire hall became transparent and vanished, revealing a dreamy starry sky. In the distance, a vast supercontinent hovered in the sky. We have arrived at the Virtual Universe Company's headquarters. He has seen so many celestial bodies, such as planets, stars, and nebulae, while wandering the universe. Even if he occasionally sees some spaceship wreckage or even sees the living giant of the sky, Uchiha Madara wouldn't be surprised. But to see an immense continent in the starry sky is truly shocking. This isn't a virtual universe, this is reality. How big is it? Uchiha Madara was secretly amazed. The stars and planets next to this huge continent floating in the sky are as tiny as sesame seeds. Even the spaceship kept approaching it, and after flying for a while, it felt like the continent was still so far away. Madara could only see that it was tens of millions of times larger than any planet he had ever seen. It was so huge. "Your Highness, how is the company's headquarters?" The thin old man next to him smiled. Madara asked, "How big is the headquarters?" "How big?" The slender old man shook his head. "If we don't travel through space into the dark universe, it would take at least decades to fly from one side of the headquarters to the other by spaceship." "You mean?" Madara was surprised. "About tens of light years in diameter? A light year is a little more than 900 trillion kilometers. The Earth's diameter is only a little over 10,000 kilometers. No wonder some distant stars and planets seem like sesame seeds. This continent floating in the universe is truly absurdly large. The slender silver-haired old man nodded. "Where did such a large continent come from?" Madara asked. "How could such a large continent form naturally in the universe? While the universe is mysterious and full of wonders, the idea of a continent tens of light years in diameter still seems incredible." "I don't know." The slender old man shook his head. Uchiha Madara nodded, no longer asking questions. The spaceship continued to fly forward. Although the continent had been visible from a distance, it still took a full 13 hours to reach its edge. The journey had been filled with countless beautiful sights, a testament to the immense technological prowess of the Virtual Universe Company. Soon, Uchiha Madara landed on land, and a new journey began. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.